What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
All right. What is it? Tuesday night? Must be the Tuesday night Radio Baloney Live. I am your host, Richie Baloney. How's everybody doing? Looks like Trudeau Survivor got the first like. So everybody knows that we're streaming on Rumble, YouTube, X, and locals. Maybe we'll stream on more at some point in the future. I don't know. That feels like enough for me, though, frankly. It seems like plenty. But the first like, everybody knows this, the first like gets, well, it might be double good karma, might be triple, might be quadruple, might be quintuple good karma. Nobody knows. Everybody does know, though, that when you like the stream, you're going to get some good karma. If you're not the first, it might be 2, it might be 1.5, I don't know. But generally, it's just 1 good karma, but it's a lot. That's still a lot. In these troubled times, it comes in handy, let me tell you. So Trudeau Survivor's got the first like on OnlyFans. What? I'm not on OnlyFans, Trudeau Survivor. Stop saying that. I don't know anything about OnlyFans. My understanding is, now tell me if I'm wrong about this, but on OnlyFans, the only way you can get people to give you money is if you put vegetables up your ass. Cucumbers, that sort of thing. Zucchinis. So I don't know anything about it, but I don't want to do that unless I absolutely have to. Let's see. Anyway, first like for Trudeau Survivor. He's kidding. We know that he's kidding. Let's say, you know what? I'm really generous tonight. Let's say quintuple good karma. I mean, something good is going to happen. Or something really bad that was going to happen isn't going to happen. That's the way it works. In the mysterious world of Radio Baloney Karma. Nevada, how you doing? Second, well, then we got to go with quadruple good karma for you, my friend. Very well indeed. Rosie, how you doing? Good to see you. I'm going to assume you got the third like, so that's triple good karma for you, Rosie. Very good. Very good. All right. Before we get into the show, actually, let's do a little bit of the more of the chat here before I get into the details. Trudeau Survivor says, I know what really happened to Giuliani. First, Musk got caught cheating with Melania. No, don't say that. And got a black eye. Then Giuliani got caught cheating with Melania. No. Why are you saying these terrible things? Well, this time Trump really had to send a message. Well, I don't believe that for a second. She's a queen, Melania. She is a queen. She's an angel, an earth angel. So stop it. It also explains Trump's disappearance. Mystery solved. It turns out he was playing golf. Let's see. Oh, no. I'm not reading that, Trudeau. I'm not reading that. No. There's some things even I won't do. Some things even I won't do, Trudeau Survivor. But nice try. All right. Looks like Rosie's going to be in and out of the stream. That's okay. That's okay. People got lives. I hope you're doing well, JJ. How you doing anyway? How's it going? Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Trailer Survivor says ping pong balls up the ass brings in the big bucks. So you shoot them out, right? You shoot them out. So that's what you do on OnlyFans. That's how you make money on OnlyFans. Okay, now I know. Now I can start an account. Finally somebody told me. So what are we doing? All right. A bit of news before we get started with all of the news. So good news. I'm not going away this month. I'm going to go away at the beginning of October, but for a shorter amount of time, be like 5 days instead of like 10 days. So I'll only have to miss a couple of streams instead of missing like 5 streams. So that's the good news. That's why I was able to take off yesterday because to be honest, I was feeling like hell. So I took it off. I gave myself that. I gave that for myself. And I betrayed all of you, but I still felt good about it. And I guess that's it. I guess that's all the news for the channel. Everybody subscribe, like the stream. You know the deal. Let's go through the menu and very quickly see what we're going to be talking about. Go back to the chat. Then we'll go back and deal with these stories in depth. So, woke mind virus. Let me refresh this. Hold on. Yeah, so we just got a crazy woke dingbat there. We're going to talk about that. We've got some Canada news, some Canada immigration news. And that's just not going well. People dumping garbage all over the place, newcomers dumping garbage all over the place, and there's all kinds of crazy crime happening. There's some more newcomers just helping themselves to enormous amounts of booze that they're stealing, and it's just, randomly shooting off firearms on bridges in public and shooting into the air and just doing like this. Like, it's not really, that's not a shooting range. This is actually pretty dangerous. So it's not going well. We'll talk about that. UK is just a police state. So now they're just arresting like writers of beloved sitcoms for having wrongthink, for tweeting the wrong thing. Gary Linehan. Sorry. So Graham Linehan. Why was I thinking Gary? I don't know. I guess they both start with G. Graham Linehan. He was the creator of Father Ted. You might be familiar with that. Black Books, the IT Crowd. And he's very well known in the UK. And those are, especially Father Ted. It's just a classic. You might have seen that on PBS back on the day. Yeah, they are really putting the boot down. The 1984, the future is a boot on a human face forever. Yep. I guess their leaders read 1984 and thought that's a great idea. So we're going to go through this a little bit. It's totally dystopian. NDP, the NDP is going to be getting it. They've got a temporary leader right now, and they're going to be getting a new leader. But they're hoping it's not going to be a cis man. Cis. I refuse to use that. Nobody asked me. Nobody said, there was no vote. There's no plebiscite, hey, do you want to be known as a cis man? Nobody asked any of this. I actually refuse to use it. I find it totally distasteful and gross. However, let's see. At least 50% of the total required signatures must be from members who do not identify as just as a normal man. Let's just say that, just as a normal man. So this is in their selection process for their next leader. I've been predicting that their next leader would be either a tree with a face painted on it or a photograph of a cloud that looks vaguely like Greta Thunberg. So I don't know. Maybe I got to Gaza up that prediction a little bit more. I don't know. They're really going hard for that. Crazy, crazy. Apparently, this is offensive to this. Air shows in Canada now are offensive to Palestinians because triggering or something bad. I don't know. Totally bananas. That's woke Canada for you. And we'll see the people who said that, and it should be no surprise where they're coming from. We got some memes going on here. Look at, I don't know. I don't know either, but we'll talk about it. We've got, let's see, Fat Carney here making an ass of himself in public. We will talk about that. Of course, some gender ideology stuff, which is, this is a dark stuff. We will get into it. Trump is alive. It turns out that Trump is alive. And Peter Ducey here asks Trump when he found out that he was still alive. So it's actually kind of awkward. We'll get to it. Here's Canada now. This is Canada now. So Canada now is Gaza. So nobody voted for this. Nobody wanted this. Even the people who voted for the Liberal Party, I don't think that they were intentionally voting for Canada to become Gaza. But it is. And we'll see the quality of the talent they hire at CBC these days. Crazy people, crazy. I don't know. Could you use that word that starts with G about them for their ideas? Yes, you probably could. Let's see. New York Post, 6 candidates from Germany's right-wing AfD party died days apart in lead up to local elections. So 6, apparently it's no big deal, by the way. We'll take a look at the article. Just nobody thinks there's anything strange about this, apparently. Seems a little strange. Seems just a tad bit strange. Then we've got the last tab, which has got some Katie Hopkins in here. You got a bunch of just random stuff. Got some Lawrence Krauss in there somehow. I don't know. We got some crazy dingbats. We got Greta's crazy haircut. We've got Trump with a giant cannon to launch people. I wonder if anybody, I feel like somebody must have been listening to those streams where we did the thing about launching Trudeau into the sun with a giant cannon. That's Babylon B. They must have seen it. Who would want like a perpetual stew cooking? Just eat out of that. It just forever. You just keep adding things. That's just weird and gross, and it can't be very good for you. But people want to do that. Here's Willem Dafoe just caught on the street. He's actually pretty cool. Like him. Lots of ridiculous things. We got some animals and dingbats and all kinds of stuff. Let's get back to the chat. What are you guys talking about? Nevada says, I've been having allergy headaches the last 2 days, but otherwise just chilling for a while and taking it easy. I've got allergies right now. And it's not fun. They really bother me. Let's see. Let's get back a little bit. Let's see. Roxy says, is OnlyFans only sexual, or are there pages for fans of sports teams, etc.? I think it's mostly young women putting things up their asses and other places. I think so. I'm talking zucchinis, cucumbers, that sort of thing. Let's see. I don't know, though. I don't know, but that's what I assume. Let's see. Went away last night. Hope you're feeling better. Still feel crappy, but I have to do it. The show must go on. Let's see. Nevada says Starmer is a commie monster. Yes, he is. He's one of those men that will just burn down his own country, its history, everything, the traditions, culture, everything. Starmer is a man who will just watch it all burn. In fact, he'll feed the flames. Let's see. Birthday is in October. Well, Maybe. I don't know. Could be. Could be September. Who knows? We don't need to have a contest for my birthday. Nah, that's no fun. To me, birthdays are nothing. Adults should not celebrate birthdays. Adults should do nothing on birthday. It just, once you turn, I will say, I'll be generous here. I'll say 18. After that, nothing. Never. In fact, if you even talk about your birthday after the age of 18, you should be arrested. If I were Emperor of Canada, that's what I would do. And I'm not joking. You would get arrested for talking about your birthday after the age of 18. So 19, you mentioned something. Oh, it's my birthday today. That's it. Oh, hold on.
Right to jail, right away.
Yes. Right to jail, right away. And like asking for a present? No. That's 5 years hard labor. Absolutely not. I'm totally opposed to it. Same thing with Christmas for adults. Presents. Now, you can put on a nice Christmas for the kids, but no presents. No, that's straight to jail. Straight to jail. And everything else as well. I just don't believe in it. Let's see. Now, I did give Princess Baloney something on her birthday, but then I had to lock her in the shed for 2 days. Otherwise, she's never going to learn. Rosie says, aren't we up to 6 AFD can't? Yeah, it's 6. It is crazy. The screen chat is frozen. You're right. You know what I'm going to do? Is I'm going to take it off the screen, and then hopefully it will, I can see it in studio, it will start to come back. I don't know what's going on. It did that briefly on, what was it, Sunday night? And thanks for letting me know that, Trudeau Survivor. Let's see. Izzy, how you doing? Like number 4, I'm going to say, let's see. So that would be, so we start with 5, 3, 2, 1. So that is 1.5 for you. Good karmas, my friend. Use it well. Rosie says, okay, I am cured. No need to see OnlyFans for myself. Thanks. Let's see. Rosie's not a big fan of my criminalizing adults celebrating their birthdays and Christmas. Not a fan. She's giving me a boo on that. Let's see. We need to celebrate arrivals and anniversaries of arrivals. Well, maybe anniversaries. There'll be a negotiation with the chat. When I become emperor of the world, I'll have a negotiation with the chat. We'll hammer something out. But I am not moving from birthdays and Christmas. Absolutely not. For kids, fine. Put a nice Christmas for the kids, have a nice dinner and everything. No presents. The screen fashion class is not frozen. It's not. But now that one came in into the studio chat. So maybe it's unphrasing. Okay, I'll keep an eye on it. Then I can put it back on the screen again. All right. Now what the hell's going on? Well, I guess we'll just get into this. Well, wait, let's see. Mary Kate Delvey posted this. Said, ahem. Well, let's take a look. What's going on here? So this is Mary Kate Delvey. So I guess that's her right there. And she's reacting to this crazy woke dingbat here. This crazy, goofy dingbat. Let's take a look.
I don't get. If being trans was a choice, why on earth would someone choose to be a woman in a patriarchal world?
Okay, let me jump in right here. Because it's not a patriarchal world. It's a matriarchal world. Okay, this is a fantasy world that you're living in, crazy dingbat. Crazy, commie dingbat. Okay, it's a matriarchy now. Patriarchy is long gone. And if there is one, well, we need a new one because this one sucks. It's terrible. It looks exactly like a matriarchy. So that's why, because there actually are benefits in it, especially if you just want to go into like women's spaces where they're undressing, that sort of thing. Anyway, let's continue.
Because it's a fucking fetish, Janet, because it gets their dick hard. That's what cross-dressing has always been about for these men. They're not some poor, vulnerable people oppressed because they're women born into men's bodies. They're men with...
Uh-oh, I think this might get me, this might have a problem with the YouTube part of this stream. Anyway, you get the point, right? You get the point. Yeah, it's every kind of prior that they start from, the woke lunatics is just fantasy world, right? All of their assertions, she's just asserting that it's a patriarchal world because that's what TikTok taught her, or whatever gender studies professor taught her. Maybe she's a gender studies professor, right? They just make these assertions, but they're just simply not true. They're demonstrably false, right? In a patriarchy, a real patriarchy, and you want to know what a real patriarchy looks like? Check out Saudi Arabia. Or how about Gaza? You can check out Gaza if you want to see a real patriarchy, right? Afghanistan, that's a patriarchy. What we have here is not a patriarchy. If it was a patriarchy, okay, you wouldn't have women politicians. You wouldn't have women CEOs, right? Hold on. This lady would not be allowed to do what she does. She would not be allowed to complain endlessly on the internet. Right, the Handmaid's Tale wouldn't be a big series. In a real patriarchy, none of that would happen. She wouldn't have the vote in a real patriarchy. It's not. It's a matriarchy. In a patriarchy, men wouldn't be disadvantaged in everything. Like the scholarships would be for men, for instance, to get into university. Right? You wouldn't have, DEI departments at corporations to make sure they're not hiring too many men. It's all just total bullshit and fantasy land, of course. But they just keep going. This is why the thing is so unstable, because it's just a house built of lies. There's no reality to it. It's just fantasies. And when it's really forced to confront reality, well, reality wins, because reality actually makes sense. All right, let's keep going. Let me see. Looks like the chat is still frozen. Not good. You know what? Maybe I'll try and hold on. Yeah, the chat is still frozen in studio here. That's a bummer. Okay, hopefully that'll resolve. All right, let's keep going. So what's going on here? Canada immigration. It's not going very well. What does this say? OPP are searching for 2 suspects in alcohol theft at a store in Wellington County. These 2 suspects simply walk into the store, load up a bag full of unpaid bottles of alcohol, and simply walk out of the store. Well, there's a bunch of these. So this is Ontario. Here we go. Let's load it all in. They know nothing's going to happen. There's no fear for them. They know nothing is going to happen. So why not? Just do it. So you've come to the country. It's obvious that it's just a weak country. And if they do get busted, if they do get arrested, they know the judge will give them a light sentence so they don't get deported. This is what happens. This is equity here. This is equity. But there's tons like this. Hold on. I've got some other ones down here. Let's see. Here's another one. Fed up Canadian starts fighting newcomers who are robbing an LCBO store in Ottawa. Let it go. It's just normal now in Canada. This is, 10 years of liberal rule. If you look, here we go again. Don't care. Don't care. Yep, Canada is weak. They don't. Canada's weak. They know nothing's going to happen to him. Wearing a Canada hat there. Probably given to him when he, stepped off the plane. This is how stupid and pathetic Canada is now. All right. Looks like the chat is actually starting to work again. Let's go back. Let's get that back up. All right. Yeah, this is pathetic. This is pathetic. These are the doctors and nurses and engineers that Trudeau and Carney have brought into the country. Nice job. Canada used to have a really good immigration system where you just kind of bring in the best and the brightest and people who could contribute to the success of the country. Not so much anymore. Not so much anymore. Boy, and the big, lots of immigration there. What is that? What is that? That's insanity. There was no need for this. There was no reason for this. This was a plan. This was part of the plan for every Western country that's seen spikes in immigration similar to this, just for no reason. Just for no reason. Let's see. What else have we got here? Oh, yeah. So we've got Jewish schools being shot at by, well, I guess it's not far-right people, is it? It's not far-right. It might be those mobs in the streets screaming death to Canada, death to Israel, death to the United States. Pierre Poilievre said a Canada First immigration and refugee system should only invite the right people in the right numbers so our jobs, healthcare, and housing can catch up. I wonder, would that look like this? This is only to 2023, by the way, right? This is only to 2023. This was just the first giant spike. I wonder if it would look like this, just bringing in the right people. I wonder if it would look like this. Because this just looks like totally reckless, heedless, and insane. But it's not, the thing is, it's not insane. It's a plan. It's clearly a plan being affected in every Western country, unless somehow that country can stop it. The people of that country can stop it. If they can somehow manage to get somebody elected who will stop it. That's what happened in the States. Let's see. Here we are. Arrested. Arrests made in prolific alcohol theft ring targeting LCBO. Huh. There's something. There's 4 of them have the same last name. That's interesting. And then Kumar. So yes, doctor, nurse, engineer. I don't know. No, actually, just all thieves. All of them. Nice. Okay. This is how pathetic this country is. Temporary foreign worker protesting in Saskatoon admits to committing immigration fraud. Paid $20,000 for a job letter for her SINP application. Wow, that's good. That's really good. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, here's some more. Here's some more great immigration news for Canada. That's nice. This is just becoming normal now, too. That was in Toronto. Let's see. Arrest made. Additional suspects sought in attempted kidnapping. What's going on here? Another doctor or engineer. Another 3 doctors or engineers. Nice. Nice. Very good job. Nice job, Liberals. Lax immigration vetting makes Canada prime target for Iranian infiltration. Wow. Great. Oh, there we go. Lots of that. We needed that in Canada. That's the kind of diversity that we all wanted. That's enriching all of us. It turns out that, they knowingly allowed 17,500 criminals into Canada, but also they weren't even doing criminal background checks on most of them just because there was too many. There was just simply too many. Let's see. Here's August 27th. Absolutely massive protests in Ontario and Brampton calling on Canada to adjust their immigration policy to allow them to stay in the country. How about no? How about your guests here? And we fulfilled our part of the bargain. Now you have to go home. What else we got? So here's this guy here, trucker. And I've shown you that the scandal around bribery, around the testing and licensing of these guys. There we go. On his cell phone, just destroyed. I believe there was one person killed in that, and then 3 badly injured because he was looking at his phone. It's all over highways in Canada now. Here we go. This is a nice new thing. So this isn't a gun range. This is just out at a park in Ontario. So yeah, totally safe. Totally safe. Nice. Good thing they're going after like Canadian farmers for their, for their shotguns. How about this here? Just firing in the air in Muskoka. That's that same bridge there. Just they leave the shotgun shells all over the ground, leave their crap everywhere. Again, this isn't a gun range. Look at this. As if this is somehow like, do they have a brain cell between them? Anyway, Canada didn't used to be like that. Didn't used to be. What changed, I wonder? I wonder what changed. How about this here? A welcome sight for Canadians? Fantastic. Fantastic. Maybe they'll use those to found their own republic here. Nothing would surprise me at this point. In fact, probably the CBC would support it. Hold on. Here we go. Just dumping garbage on the side of the road. Nice. Newcomer. Thanks. Well, that's what they do in India. So, all right. So that's it. That's immigration in Canada going really, really well. Let's get back to the chat. Let's see. What are you guys talking about? JJ Nevada still wants Greenland. Every single stream. JJ Nevada lets us know he's still got his eye on Greenland. Very well. I hope you get it one day. Although be careful what you wish for. Careful what you wish for. Let's see. Here they have disgusting Christmas dinners, traditional Christmas dinners. Let's see. What else you guys talking about? Izzy says, straight to jail in your own country. Could not agree more. Let's see. Turtles, how you doing? No Greta haircuts. No Greta. She's a weird kid, right? She's not a kid anymore, but weird. Trudeau Survivor says, this is a perfect example of the tragedy of the commons. No one working at the LCBO, because it's a government liquor store, has a vested financial stake, so they stand by idly as the store is robbed in broad daylight. Yep. And also, too, with Canada's laws, like if if one of the thieves gets hurt, well, that's your ass on the line now. They'll probably sue you. Let's see. Rosie asks, does Greenland have precious gemstones or metals? Probably, but they're probably under a kilometer or a mile of ice. Nuada says, Richie should turn off YouTube so we can hear these clips. I do have members over on YouTube, so, I can't do that because then, then they wouldn't be able to see it. Nevada says, I heard Smith is pushing digital IDs for healthcare, some sort of digital thing for healthcare. I don't know. I haven't looked into it closely or at all. To be honest, I just I read a little bit on it. All right. Seems to be still a bit of a backup on the how far back does it go? Backup on the chat from the on the screen. All right. I don't know, maybe I'll have to take it back off again. Rosie says, my training says explicitly I may never provide alcohol for customers. Someone must have no common sense or this would have been added. Let's see. I'm going to take the chat off the screen because it keeps, there's something's going on. There's something happening. There's some hiccup. Whatevs. All right, let's move on. What are we at next? All right, we did that. Let's get to the UK. So, Graham Linehan, he's, the creator of like some of the best loved sitcoms, TV shows in the UK. Father Ted is a real classic. I remember sitting around with my family watching that like decades ago. It was great. Black Books, like the IT Crowd. I have watched some Black Books and I like that one as well. But he was quite beloved over there. And the police state that is the UK, or should I say Airstrip 1, the police state that is Airstrip 1 has arrested him, of course, for saying things that they didn't like on the internet. The Glitter update, I just got arrested again. I arrived back in London to discover the UK is still a police state run by trans activists. So he moved to the United States, where he's actually working on a new show with Rob Schneider's production company, I believe. And I guess he had to go back and visit, and they arrested him when he got off the plane. So let's actually take a look at this. I mean, this is truly dystopia now, right? This has truly become dystopian. I just got arrested again. Graham Linehan. There he is. He had to go to the hospital, so they took him to jail, and the stress of it ended up sending him to hospital because I guess they assumed he was having a heart attack or something, which is quite understandable. You're just getting off a plane and you're not expecting to be arrested and thrown in prison. Oh, so can we not get this? Let's see. Actually, give me a second here. Hold on one sec. Actually, you know what? I think I've actually got it somewhere else. Hold on. I think I've got the letter somewhere else, but let's go through this a little bit. From Calvin Robinson. You may have seen him on Lotus Eaters if you watch that. Graham Linehan traveled to the UK from Arizona and was arrested at the airport by 5 armed police officers for a couple of posts on X. Is he a terrorist? Did he attempt to take over the plane? No, he sent 3 naughty tweets. His bail conditions dictate he is banned from X. The U.S. is a police state. If I were him, I would get out of the UK and never, ever go back as soon as he can. What's this? A photo you can smell. So this looks like, is this some sort of trans demonstration? Let's see if we can find these actual tweets. So here's a couple of tweets from him. Graham Linehan, if a trans-identified male is in a female-only space, he is committing a violent, abusive act. Make a scene, call the cops, and if all else fails, punch him in the balls. That's a joke. That's not a call to violence. It's clearly a joke. Because the balls thing, right? The balls, man in a female-only space pretending to be a woman. So this is what's gotten him in trouble. Is that he's refused to buy into the trans fantasy world, the gender theory, gender ideology fantasy world. So he's refusing to pretend to believe things that he knows aren't true. He's refusing to pretend to believe that men can become women or women can become men. He's always been a liberal, but he's more of the old school liberal, traditional liberal variety. So he's not a radical leftist progressive. He's just an old school liberal. So, not somebody who would ever have been a fan of like Trump or even Pierre Poilievre, at least in the past. So, Boris Johnson, I doubt very much, although nobody's a fan of him anymore because he was terrible and betrayed the British people. But he's an example of an old school liberal who just refused to give up dominion over his own conscience. What does this say here? Something them misogynists and homophobes, fuck them. He tweeted this. So misogynists and homophobes being the people that, the radical trans activists who are extremely aggressive towards, old school feminists who don't believe that men can become women and they shouldn't be in rape shelters or go to, women's prisons, that sort of thing. He's calling them misogynists. And when you think about it, they kind of are, right? And homophobes, because they're trying to turn all the gay people into trans. Again, is this something that would demand, in any sane world, is this something that would demand 5 armed officers to arrest him? I mean, the UK's got problems. They got terrorism problems there. They got grooming gang problems there. They got major crime problems of every kind. Is this really the best use of resources? Well, if the goal is not to have a fair rule of law society, if the goal is for, an anarcho tyranny with just arbitrary use of government power and government violence, well, then that makes sense, right? If the truth doesn't matter anymore, if the only thing that matters is power, then it makes sense. They should just change all the maps, just call it Airstrip 1 from now on. And of course, there's total hypocrisy. It's totally two-tiered. The law applies to some people. It doesn't apply to other. It's an arbitrary application of the law based on politics. Graham Linehan should have joked about pushing people under a train, like the UK, like the UK Health Secretary Wes Streeting. Let's see. There would be nothing natural about Jan Moore's. I don't know who that is. Jan Moore's death if I shoved the bigoted old bag under a train. That's the health secretary. Not arrested for some reason. Here we go. Look at this. Talking about in 3 different. I mean, this is unbelievable. But this is tyranny, right? This is the arbitrary application. This is the arbitrary application of power, of the state's monopoly of violence. Let's see. Glinner update. So this is what he wrote. This is what Graham Linehan wrote. At Heathrow Police Station, my belt bag and devices were confiscated. Then I was shown into a small green tiled cell with a bunk, a silver toilet in the corner, and a message from Crime Stoppers on the ceiling next to a concave mirror that was presumably there to make you reflect on your life choices. In this case, his life choices to not betray his own conscience. Orwell was only too right, wasn't he? By some miracle, probably because I hadn't slept on the flight, I managed to doze off. After the premier economy seat in which I just spent 10 hours, it was actually a relief to stretch out. That passed the time, though I kept waking up wondering if it was all actually happening. And it does have to be, it must have been horrifically surreal. Later, during the interview itself, the tone shifted. The officer conducting it asked about each of the terrible tweets in turn, with the sort of earnest intensity usually reserved for discussing something serious like, crime. I explained that the punch tweet was a serious point made with a joke. Men who enter women's spaces are abusers, and they need to be challenged every time. The punch in the bollocks bit was about the height difference between men and women. The bollocks being closer to punch level for a woman defending her rights, and certainly not a call to violence. Well, it was clearly a joke. And also just simply the fact that if it were a real woman, you wouldn't be able to punch her in the balls. He mentioned trans people. I asked him what he meant by the phrase. People who feel their gender is different than what was assigned at birth. I said, assigned at birth? Our sex isn't assigned. He called it semantics. I told him he was using activist language. The damage Stonewall has done to the UK police force will take years to mend. This is all just insanity. It's obviously political. Obviously. Neil O'Brien says Britain is now a total laughingstock, but it's actually a terrifying laughingstock. A country where we arrest the authors of light comedies and interrogate them about their tweets. It would be laughable if it wasn't so serious. It is genuine. I find it terrifying. I find it. This is coming. If it's allowed, this is coming everywhere. This is the goal. This is Britain racing towards a Chinese neo-fascist totalitarian model. That's what's going on here. It's nothing else, and everybody in the UK should be terrified. So this is from August 16th. So this would have been before he was arrested. But let's take a look here from Dan Wootton from GB News.
Graham Linehan was once one of the most celebrated members of Britain's famously liberal.
Sorry, this is April 16th.
Politically.
Sorry, this is April 16th, 2023. So they've been after him for years, but let's watch this.
Graham Linehan was once one of the most celebrated members of Britain's famously liberal, uber politically correct comedy community. A legend at the left-wing Channel 4, he was beloved. As a modern-day creative messiah, the brains behind all-time great comedies, Father Ted, The IT Crowd, and actually one of my personal favourites, Black Books. That was until he dared to express a view. Until just a few years ago, by the way, a view accepted as an established fact. It's a view about the existence of biological sex and how it's pretty unwise to allow anyone with a penis into women's only spaces.
Can't say anything. They've given women no room in which they can maneuver and argue for their rights.
The gender movement is, at its heart, it's a middle-class movement. They've all got kids who wear some eyeshadow, decide they're trans, and the parents are kind of circling the wagons around them rather than thinking it through.
There's no more homophobic statement than trans women are women. Because when you say that trans women are women, you are saying that they are women in the literal meaning of the word. That means that if a lesbian does not want to go out with a male-bodied person who identifies as trans, they're automatically considered a bigot.
So after expressing views like that, views that I don't need to remind you are backed up by...
So does that sound like a threat to national security? Does that sound like a threat to the public? Or just like, a middle-aged man speaking just common sense, just widely held beliefs? Does that seem like somebody who needs to be arrested? No. Does that seem like somebody that this is required for? No. No, that's just a normal person expressing widely held views, more widely held than the views of the radical activists, much more widely viewed, or much more widely held views. So this is the state of the UK, and it's genuinely sad and tragic to see this happening to, a once great country, a once great empire. I know they are, the public is voicing its displeasure. It's, it's making patriotic shows, hang up St. George's Cross flags, Union Jacks. That's a good sign. But man, when you see this, it's like a warning, right? That's why it happens to guys like this. It's a warning. That's why everything that they've done to Tommy Robinson, it's all a warning to the public. No, this is happening. What's happening around you, what you can see with your own eyes and ears, what you know is wrong, it's happening and it's going to keep happening, and there's nothing you can do. Meanwhile, this is happening. So this is what is being enforced on the on the British people. An imam in Manchester said this on live camera. Apparently, it's all right to take a married woman as a sex slave in war, as long as she's not Muslim. So nobody showed up to arrest this guy. Who do you think is more of a threat to the public? Let's take a look.
Of legislations. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in this surah, or in this particular ayah, also prohibited for marriage are women already married. That means that is those who have husbands. It is prohibited to marry them so long as they are still married, unless they are divorced and have completed the iddah, the waiting period, except any slave girls you may own. That is those who have been captured in war. If a disbelieving woman who's married is captured in war, she becomes permissible for the Muslims after one menstrual cycle has passed, which serves.
He's talking about taking infidel sex slaves in Manchester. Where are the people there? It seems very much like this is what is being enforced in the UK. This is the ideology that's being enforced. And this is the the Graham Linehans, who are just speaking common sense about biologic reality, are the ones who are arrested and persecuted in Airstrip 1. So total madness. And it's actually both terrifying and really, really depressing, I have to say. All right. Hopefully they can turn it around, but who knows? All right, look at that. Canada's doing great, by the way. Canada's doing awesome. Oh, man, Canada's been doing great. And we're going to get to that in a second. First, let's get back to the chat. Brian Watson, how you doing? Good to see you. Says England is done. It's coming to Canada. They want to surround USA with this free speech attack. And then this is the communism attacking USA, not with an army, but with free speech and gender ideology. It's, well, the through line for all of it is Marxism. It's communism, right? The academia is now academia has now been totally captured by Marxism. And from there, it leached into the media, into every other institution, the medical institutions, AMA, Endocrine Society, and the through line of everything that's terrible that we see, everything that is deleterious to Western civilization and individual rights and freedom is Marxism. That's the through line for all of it. That's the thread that connects it all, obviously. And they will tell you, the activists themselves will tell you. I mean, they're all anti-capitalist. They all manage to get their anti-capitalism in there somewhere, whether it's gender or whether it's Palestine or whatever. They all manage to get that anti-capitalist stuff in there. They want you to know. All right. Anyway, I find it's really, when you see what's happening in England, and it is just genuinely a tragedy unfolding. Hopefully it can be reversed. Let's see. What else are you guys saying? Izzy says, mentioning grooming gangs as a hate crime, straight to jail. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, the government does not like it. The government hid it. It concealed it from the public, and they don't want people talking about it. That's why they have been persecuting Tommy Robinson and throwing him in prison over and over and over again, to make an example out of him. You don't talk about that. You don't talk about the crimes being committed against you. Let's see. Trudeau Survivor asks, who gave the order to issue Linehan's arrest warrant? I don't know. Probably Starmer demanded it personally. As he says, Oro was a prophet. He was a prophet. And all he did was look at Stalinism. That's all he needed to do. And he went, yep, that's where this is all heading. Radio streamer, how you doing? He says, I have arrived. Hello, my fellow degenerate basket of deplorables, binary sex believing, orange Hitler following, and car driving countrymen and women. Good to see you. Izzy says, sadly, Canada and Australia are in competition with Britain in this craziness. Yeah, the Anglosphere. The only country that looks like civilizationally like it's on the right track, is the U.S. right now. It looks like they're just, like Germany, it looks like they're just killing all of the AfD. I mean, 6 of them. Are people supposed to believe that's a coincidence? Rosie says, hello, radio streamer. Definitely deplorable here. No binary sex here. Single gender. Only one gender. Well, that's hermaphrodites. So we're not all hermaphrodites. Let's see. I'm pretty sure. I mean, did this turn into a hermaphrodite channel when I wasn't looking? What happened? All right. All right. Steve, how you doing? Good to see you. Is it too late for, it is too late. Let me get the chat back up again. Looks like it's starting to work again. But hold on. Hold on a sec. Okay. Brian Watson says they charged a journalist in Canada for telling truth about Liberal cabinet minister. Yes, we've got to get to that. I don't think I have it up on this. We'll probably talk about it on Friday. Maybe we'll get to it, actually. I don't think I got anything prepared for it. I might. We'll see as we go through the tabs. I'm trying to remember. But that is Cian Bexley. And this is very typical of the Liberal Party. As I said a million times, Liberal Party has not changed. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same thing. It's absolutely as authoritarian as before. And it's pretty clear that in Mark Carney's book Values, he's an authoritarian. He's a central planner. And he sees Canadians as ants in an ant colony called Canada. No, it's actually really, this is quite frightening too. Steve Tollison, how you doing, Steve? Says it's too late for England. The U.S. should only take English refugees, migrants, and asylum seekers that are British born. Well, how many? Like, if you're a comedian, you might want to leave, right? Because if you are a conservative comedian or just any comedian, right? I mean, what's Dave Chappelle? Is he a conservative? No. Would he be arrested in the UK? Probably. Or the law would allow for him to be arrested. So yeah, take them. Take all the British comedians. Get them out before the government arrests them if they say anything that vaguely resembles reality. Let's see. Streamer says binary means a 1 or a 0. I think that's a pretty good description for reality. You got one or the other. Well, it's also, we're a sexually reproducing species, sexually dimorphic, men, women, right? Sperm, eggs, right? Like that's just reality. The rest of it is all just abstraction. Which is really, the left is just a world of abstractions, really in everything. Like, think about Canada, for instance, right? Trudeau and Carney's solution to everything is just green because there's this abstraction of the world's in danger. It's all just based on abstractions. The gender stuff, it's all just an infinite series of abstractions. None of it's really based in reality or cold, hard facts. You know, think about institutional racism or systemic racism. Well, what's that? What is that exactly? Should it mean that there are discriminatory laws? And if there's no discriminatory laws, then what does it mean? The whole this whole project of whiteness and white privilege and essentially demonizing white people, of blaming white people and racism for every disparity between groups, is all based on abstractions, just total ridiculous abstractions, and ignoring facts like in both the US and Canada, Asians arrived in both the US and Canada a long time ago, and they were very poor. And when they show up now, whether they're poor or wealthy, they do well. They always do well, regardless of any kind of systemic racism, which would tend to, which I think actually proves pretty clearly that it doesn't exist. There is no systemic racism, right? Asians outperform white people in Canada and the US. That's white privilege is demonstrably false because of that. So they have to move on to these abstractions, systemic racism, the infinite series of abstractions that is gender theory. You can't really point to anything specifically. Again, you can't point to a law in Canada. So it has to be these vague things, and just throw around the word genocide. Is it to the point where the word is completely meaningless? Let's see. And also you see with the unmarked graves thing, right? So it's gotten to the point now where they're saying that, well, okay, there haven't been any discovered, but there shouldn't be, and we just have to believe. Again, just abstractions. You just have to believe. Well, there's stories and eyewitnesses, but okay, but we need actual facts. They're not interested in that. It must exist for their ideology to prove them right. And they don't care if it doesn't really exist. What matters is that people think it does. Let's see. Rosie says hermaphrodites encompass two genders in one body. It's true. It's true. Let's see. I wonder if they encompass two OnlyFans accounts in one. That's got to be a thing. Let's see. Nevada says, Rosie, you were correct about 6 AFD dead. That's what I said, though. I said 6, didn't I? I'm sure I said 6. Let's see. Brian Watson says, yeah, a 3-year-old was attacked by trans, a she, her, but actually a man. It was not right in front of the parents. It was while the parents were sleeping and they woke up, and it's absolutely horrific. We know you've got the Justice Minister, Sean Fraser, mocking Pierre Poilievre's stand on guard castle law, saying it's not the Wild West in Canada. Well, it sure feels like the Wild West. I mean, these people are soulless. You got to understand, these people, these radical progressives, they don't care about reality. They don't care if people get hurt. It's just about power. Steve Tollefson says, God bless the Stars and Stripes. Well, the United States, out of the Anglosphere right now, it's, as far as I know, the only country that actually right now has leadership that actually cares about the country and about preserving, the traditions and the, I guess in the United States, the Constitution, people's constitutional rights. Brian Watson says, Carney said Muslim values are Canadian values. I don't think he's ever taken a look into any of these Muslim values. And gay pride should be every day. Well, he's got nothing else. So this is what they always go to. It's just platitudes, right? Platitudes about Muslim values are Canadian values. Well, they're just clearly not. I mean, take a look at any Pew poll, right, on opinion in Muslim communities. It's just clearly not. They're clearly not Canadian values, right? Like, the values in Afghanistan are not Canadian values. Right? The values in Saudi Arabia are not Canadian values. These are not Western values. You can say that. But again, they don't care about reality. They couldn't care less. These radical progressives, and Mark Carney is absolutely a radical progressive. They don't care about reality. They couldn't care less. Mark Carney couldn't care less. Mark Carney cares about power, and he cares about turning Canada into his net zero laboratory. And gay pride, well, that's, typical. They always go back to that well, right? Just automatically, well, everything's terrible, but we'll say this. And the implication is that the other side hates gay people or something, and we'll say that. They just make shit up. They don't care about reality. It's all just abstractions to them. Bad Uncle Frank, good to see you. All right. Well, shall we move on? What do we got next? So, the NDP, New Democrat Party in Canada. It's the most left party in Canada, although hardly more left-wing than the Liberal Party now. The Liberal Party in Canada used to be a centrist party. It was remade, it was reshaped in Justin Trudeau's image, who declared it to be a progressive party. Well, it's a radical leftist progressive party now. And if you're a far leftist who normally votes for the NDP, well, no reason not to vote for the Liberals now, because they're just as far left. Now, the NDP, well, first off, the NDP in the last election, their vote collapsed by 10%. And they were actually even, it was the lowest showing in, I don't know, it's got to be decades that they've had a total collapse. They went really, really woke. And the Liberal Party also really, really woke. So a lot of the NDP voters, I think, said, well, we don't want the Conservatives to win, so we'll just vote strategically with the Liberals. Every insane far left thing that we want is there anyway. So we don't need to vote for the NDP. We'll get it with the Liberals. If we want to be obsessed with the climate, Mark Carney's the man. If you want to do gender medical experiments on children, Mark Carney's the man. He's for all that. He says he's going to preserve woke in Canada, right? So every crazy left-wing thing, you're going to get from Mark Carney anyway. And the NDP stopped being a working-class union party a long time ago. So after that collapse, this man here, Jagmeet Singh, in fact, I think I've got a better picture of him. Let's see. Here he is. So their former leader, Jagmeet Singh, with two fetishists here. So he had to leave the party after the massive collapse, where they went from about 16% of the vote to 6%. So he had to leave. So they need a new leader now. So my prediction has been that they would either vote for... my prediction has been for a new leader for them is that they would select either a tree with a face painted on it or a photograph of a cloud that looks vaguely like Greta Thunberg. Now, they have one guy who's an absolutely fanatical Palestine guy. He's probably got a great chance. In fact, let's see if we can find him here. Hold on. Give me a second. Where is he? I think I've got him in here. Here he is. So there's this guy. He's a possible leader for the NDP, Yves Engler, who is just an absolute Palestine fanatic.
To do our best to disrupt Mark Carney's genocidal Jewish supremacism.
He's also a full-on communist. So, in fact, let's go take a look. Here we go. I mean, the whole thing just looks commie already, doesn't it? Just looks Soviet already. Let's see. What does he say here? Author of 13 books, including Canada's Long Fight Against Democracy, runs to be next leader of the NDP. Canada needs a voice challenging capitalism and empire. Does Canada have an empire? I'm pretty sure it doesn't. I'm running to lead NDP to fight for decolonization, whatever the hell that means. Degrowth and economic democracy. He's running to promote degrowth. He'd be a perfect NDP leader. But yeah, so they've got a temporary leader right now who's actually not bad. He's actually not bad. He did well during the Air Canada strike and the mandate for the Air Canada workers to have to go back to work from Carney. But he is a white man, so probably not going to work out. And he doesn't seem to be like an actual rabid Palestine communist. Although maybe he is, and he's just hiding it. But anyway, in this new leadership race, they've got some roles. So from the National Post here. In fact, did I have the National Post article up? Yeah, let's pull it up. The NDP leadership is underway. And the party is limiting signatures from, I'm not even going to say it. Okay, cis men. I don't like to say it because nobody asked me, right? They didn't get consent from me to start using this. There was no plebiscite. There was no vote on, we're going to say, this was just pushed from up high. This was pushed from academia. It went to the media and then politicians. And they all decided this is what everybody's going to say now. This is how everybody's going to be classified now. Nobody asked us. And this is the same with everything from the modern left. It's not grassroots. It's always from high. It's from academia. It's from the media. They just decide for you. And those become our values now. Candidates hoping to succeed, Jagmeet Singh, should be making themselves known in short order. So they're limiting signatures from normal men. From normal men. So I don't know, maybe my prediction of it being a photograph of a cloud that looks like Greta Thunberg, maybe that will actually come true, because this is idiotic. Hold on. Now, the interim leader, Don Davies, who is, harkens back to a more old school, strong union, not identity politics, NDP leader. He won't work now because the NDP has become totally captured by identity politics. It's not even really about unions anymore. They don't really care. NDP interim leader Don Davies says the party was too immersed in identity politics. Also NDP, leadership candidates must not have more than 50% of signatures from those who identify as a, let's just say, normal man. Here we go. At least 50% of the total required signatures must be from members who do not identify as a, again, normal man. So I put it to you. Will their next leader be, maybe it'll be like a goat who looks a bit like Mao, perhaps? Or what else? Let's see. Tree with face painted on it. That picture of a cloud that looks like Greta Thunberg. A goat that looks like Mao. Maybe a bowl of tofu. I'm not sure exactly. Maybe just one of those kafaya tablecloth things they all wear. Just that. Maybe just a mannequin with one of those over its shoulder. And then there's just like a little speaker there, like attached to it, just playing like Stalin speeches 24/7. I don't know, something like that. Who knows? So again, this is it's not looking good for the NDP. We really need in Canada, the Conservatives need the NDP to make a comeback. And I don't think they're going to. They're not going to win the woke war with the Liberals anymore, right? You might as well. So the only thing they can do is win back some of the working class, but some of the union voters who moved to the Liberals. But with this stuff, I don't think it's really going to work. I mean, look, they can't out-woke the Liberals. Here's Jagmeet saying, check this out. Then Mark Carney's like, hold my beer. Hold my beer. I'm even touching this one, Mark Carney says. That's how woke I am. I'm even touching this guy. That's how comfortable I am with it. So, I don't know. None of it bodes well for Canada, really, when you think about it, is it? Not really. Let's see. Here, this is the NDP here. Jagmeet Singh doesn't like white men.
To be really blunt, I've seen a lot of older white men fail upwards again and again. And that is just going to continue unless we actually try to change things. So I fundamentally believe if you don't change things...
Just outright racist. Just outright racist. Like, we're at the point now where, like, it doesn't matter where you are on the political spectrum. If you see somebody like this saying just outright racist things like this, just bullshit too. Like, why would you vote for somebody who has a problem with you based on your race? Like a clear racist, and he doesn't like you because of your race. Like, I don't care what political spectrum. Like, don't you realize that that's a really bad idea? Like, you're supporting somebody who wants to hurt you based on your immutable characteristics. Like, how can anybody not see that, right? Like, do you really want to train your own executioners? It seems like a really bad idea. Expressing his hate for white men. Well, Canada. Yeah. But he still got outwoked by the liberals. He still got outwoked. All right, let's go to the let's go back to the chat. Let's see. Brian Watson says Carney doesn't like Trump attack on woke. Yeah, so Carney, we have a clip of it. I've shown the clip many times where he's talking about in the United States, there's a war on woke, the Trump war on woke. And then he goes on, he calls it diversity, I think. Is that what he says? Diversity. Here we cherish we cherish and adore our diversity. Something like that. Just gross. Let's see. MHJ, good to see ya. Rosie says, Singh's beard looks like an enormous petri dish for growth of nasty germs. Well, all beards are, regardless of who's got them. All beards are. That's known now. Travis, how you doing? Good to see ya. Travis says, 1 hour late, did not think I had access. Well, it's not a premium stream, so anybody can watch this. Anybody can. Like number 8. Like number 8, I'm going to award that because we did start out with quintuple good karma for the first like. So I'm going to award that 1.15 good karmas, which is just a touch more good karma, but still very, very potent. All right. By the way, everybody, if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel right now. Don't let anything terrible happen to you. Subscribe right now, and then just feel secure. You'll sleep well tonight. God knows what could happen to you if you don't. Liking the stream gets you that good karma, that good karma. That again, it keeps you sleeping well at night. You don't need to worry. You got that karma. I'm trying to think of a story now to tell about somebody who didn't like the stream. I know I had one. What was that? Princess Baloney could tell me what it was. What was it? Somebody wants the stream. Oh, I remember. Okay, so this is a true story, by the way. True story. So I always say, get that free good karma. In these troubled times, you don't know when you're going to need it. I wouldn't turn my back on it, to tell you that much. I'd get that free karma if I could. I can't because I'm doing the stream. I'm giving away the karma, so I can't take it. But anyway, I heard this. This is just between us, but I heard this story. There was this guy, and he watched the stream. And he was gonna like the stream, but he was just feeling lazy. And he couldn't even get up the strength to just reach out and just press the button and like the stream. Right? And he watched the stream, he enjoyed it, watched it all the way through. But he got all the way through, and then he realized, I didn't like it. And he thought, oh, whatever. Even though he could have liked it afterwards, still didn't. So anyway, what happened was this. He didn't know this, but there was a circus going through town that evening, traveling through town. And it had like a bunch of monkeys, chimps, right? And one of the chimps escaped. And it fled to his house, and it climbed in through a window. And while he was just sitting there in his chair, it ran up and it bit him, and it ran back out again, like just in a flash, but it bit him, and it bit him good. And it turned out that monkey was the original AIDS monkey. That's right, the one who started the whole thing off. And it had been on the run all this time. That's why it was with the circus. It had run off, and it was in hiding its identity, and it was with the circus. So anyway, he got the original AIDS from the AIDS monkey, and it was pretty powerful. 2 days later, he was dead. And he liked the stream after he got bit by the original AIDS monkey, and they never found it, by the way. It's still out there with the circus somewhere. But he tried to like the stream afterwards, and it was too late because he needed the good karma before he got bit by the original AIDS monkey. So anyway, that's why I tell you guys, like the stream, get that free good karma. Don't wait for the worst. Not with all those AIDS monkeys out there. Right? Well, there's only one. There's just the original one. He's still out there, though. He's still out there. You can hear him sometimes at night. Scary. Lock the windows. Rosie says, Richie, you sound like someone telling a ghost story at camp or a slumber party. Well, this is kind of a slumber party, right? Let's see. Hold on. Steve Tollison says, you're right. I did not volunteer to be referred to as sis. In my day, that was short for sissy. I think that's why they picked it, to be honest. Them there is fighting words. Fighting words. Exactly. Steve Tollison got the second like on YouTube. So that, my friend, is quadruple good karma. You're going to need it. Heading out to California. Good. Heading out to California tomorrow. Could use all I can get. Well, that's, you know what? I'm going to add a couple on top of that just because I know it's dangerous to go there. A lot of bad karma there. A lot of bad karma. I'm giving you a couple extra. I think this is the first time I've awarded 6 good karmas, but I'm only doing this. And now I have to give 7 to the first like. Okay, so first like get 7. So now you're getting 6 out. You need a couple extra, okay? I'm worried about you. Let's see. What else is going on? Radio Streamer says, technically, Justin Trudeau never liked your stream, not even once. But, you know, he probably already had AIDS even before I started the channel. So, let's see. What else we got? And Streamer says, and look what happened to that dirty, dirty commie. He became Katy Perry's backup dancer. Or maybe he's her interior designer. We haven't quite figured out what his role with her is yet. He might be her hairdresser. All right, let's move on. What are we doing now? What kind of crazy stuff is going on? Let's see. I must have had this up for a reason. What's going on here? So Tristan Hopper. He's a Canadian journalist. He publishes in, I think, the National Post most often. Actually, let's take a look. Columnist and reporter at the National Post. He says, Canada's only newspaper. Most influential person of Canada, Canada moral leader, beloved Canadian role model. As you can tell, he's pretty funny. So he's always a good read. I was in a public place where a guy was being loud and disruptive. So 2 guys just grabbed him by the arms and escorted him outside. At that moment, it struck me how much of Canada's dysfunction is due to a government commitment to never, ever do likewise. Yes. That's what we have. Well, that's progressivism. That's equity, right? You can't. Somebody's feelings could get hurt. All right. We already saw that. All right, how about this? From Lisa McLeod. She says, I can't believe the audacity of the Toronto Air Show. Goes without saying that it is cruel and traumatic for the people of Gaza. I bet Israel was in on this. So here we go. Woke Canada. This is posted by Nerdogan. Nerdogan. We'll get to that in a second. The air show in downtown Toronto. This is not merely a show for people. It is a deep trauma for the families of Palestinians whose homes were destroyed by Israeli bombings in Gaza. Canada isn't Gaza. At least not yet. And may it never be Gaza. And would we please stop making it any more like Gaza? I'm sorry, this is Canada. All right, we have air shows. Okay, we don't stop everything for woke hysteria, for woke hysterics, for woke catastrophization of everything. So who's this? Let's see. I know who it is. Hold on. There we go. Journalist, read the maple. So let's go there. So this is just another, there doesn't appear to be and there doesn't appear to be any actual like website or anything. It's just this, investigating the stories no one else will. So what's the story that no one else will investigate? Let's see. And this is Canadian news and perspectives that confront the status quo. All right, let's see. So Palestine, Gaza. Canada's arms to Israel, scandal explained. Canada sending arms to Israel. Let's see. The Maple, along with hundreds of other news outlets, has joined Avaz and Reporters Without Borders campaign to draw attention. 220 plus Palestinian journalists killed by Israel since October 2023. Gaza has the bravest journalists in the world. Well, I mean, it turns out that we keep seeing pictures of them with machine guns in their hands and obviously being a part of Hamas. So it shouldn't be that surprising when you're a journalist, but you're also an enemy combatant at the same time. Let's see. And what do we got? What? More Gaza, more Palestine, more Palestine, more Gaza, more Gaza. Just, that's all that this is. More Gaza, more Palestine. Telling the stories nobody else will, except for every single leftist outlet in the world. Oh, here's one that's not Gaza. Wow, actually. But it's the income gap in Canada has reached a record high. Well, how much is Mark Carney worth? All right. So anyway, telling the stories that absolutely everybody else is telling. So yes, this is Canada. This is Canada. Probably funded by the Carney government, by the way. Would not be surprised. What's going on here? So there's Greta and her new haircut, and there's He-Man. I can't tell. Did He-Man always look like this, or has this been altered to look like it? Is this like an AI one to look like Greta Thunberg? Did He-Man always look like that? Because it looks a lot like Greta Thunberg. So I don't know. But anyway, I don't know what's going on there. That's the, I don't know. What do you call that haircut, by the way? I don't know what that's called. Is that my boyfriend is a shrub? Is that what that's called? I don't know. It's kind of a bit Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber, isn't it? I don't know. What do you guys think that's called? Let's see. I think that they got AI to do a Greta Thunberg He-Man. I think that's what happened there. Let's see. We've seen that. What's this? Let's see. Pedocillin, huh? I don't understand this one at all. I have no idea what that means. No idea what that means. I don't know what's going on there. Better move on. Let's see. Here's Fat Carney. Let's get back to the chat for a second. Let's see. Trudeau Survivor says Grok is a killjoy. Oh. Trudeau, the next bachelor? No, he is Katy Perry's new hairstylist. Rosie says the secret to your longevity, forget genetics, clean living, etc. It is the likes. It's the likes. That's why MHJ celebrated a 90th birthday. That's why. Where did this come from? Your goat was bitten by monkey zero, and you've been drinking HIV-flavored goat milk for years. Oh, my God. What a horrible thing to write. Let's see. Radio Streamer says, funny thing, did you know that Israel also gives weapons and, in fact, rockets to terrorists? They're called water pipes. You can watch terrorist TikToks as they dig up machine water pipes into rockets. Yeah, so as soon as they got Gaza, they immediately dug up all the pipes and just basically pilfered the place to just buy weapons and make weapons. So it seems like, they've had the same plan all along. Let's see. All right. Let's move on. What do we got going on here? So here's Doug Ford. He's the premier of Ontario. He's a progressive conservative. His whole shtick is that he's this kind of working class, gruff guy, no nonsense guy, but he's just been he was supporting Trudeau. He loves Mark Carney. He never has enough kind words and praise for Mark Carney. He's just a liberal. And then every once in a while, he'll do one of these things to seem like the tough guy. But he's just a liberal. He supported every economy and country killing thing that has happened under the Liberals. The Pleb Reporter says Doug Ford has a complete meltdown at today's press conference. He pours out an entire bottle of Crown Royal in protest of the company moving to America. Well, it's not the company moving to America. It's one bottling plant. He propped up the Liberal government for years. He's responsible for this. His theatrics don't fool me. So what's happening is Crown Royal, the whiskey brand, it's all made in Canada. This is where they make it here. Big, huge area here. And they're moving one of their bottling plants to the States. And the reason they'll be doing this is because of the tariffs and also because of the terrible business environment that has been created in Canada by Liberals, by the Liberal Party. So they're moving one bottling plant there. It's still a Canadian company. I believe the company is owned by a French company, I think Diageo. But everything is made in Canada, but they're moving one bottling plant down to the States. And it's totally understandable why they'd be doing that. You've got to be honest, after 10 years of Liberal rule, it's really inevitable, especially with the tariffs now, which Mark Carney has done absolutely nothing to resolve. So this is Doug Ford's response. Now, I guess he's not aware that there's a lot more jobs relying on Crown Royal in Canada. So maybe this whole act is maybe a little bit ill-considered, let's just say. Not that he cares. It's all politics. For him, it's all fake. It's just politics. And, I think a lot of people like him. They don't see through the act. This is a guy who sabotaged the Conservatives in the federal election. And he's done nothing but support Liberals all along. So he is not a conservative. In fact, he's a traitor to Canadian Conservatives. If indeed he's even pretending to be. I don't even know at this point. Let's take a look.
And you guys are about as dumb as a bag of hammers for doing this. So, you know something? I found a bottle, and I don't even drink, of Crown Royal, right? I see that Crown Royal. I saw it at home. So this is what I think about Crown Royal. That's what they could do. And I think everyone else should do the same thing. Start supporting companies that make whiskey here by Ontario.
That make whiskey here. I mean, like here, which is still here. So it's one bottling plant that's moving to the States. But here's where they make it, in Gimli, Lake Winnipeg, off the shores of Lake Winnipeg. So do you mean a company like this, the company that you're pouring the bottle out? Maybe this is ill-considered. Maybe this is not the right rhetoric, right? Do you want to send the rest? Do you want to send this down to the States as well, Doug Ford? Everything is counterproductive with these guys. Everything. And by the way, there's, he can't even pour it out because it's got the thing at the top there. But everything is ill considered. It's just stupid. I mean, look at this.
People, that's what we need to do is support each other. You know something? I'm going to make this even come out quicker because it's not coming out.
Support each other. Where were you in that last election telling us about how nobody knows more about economics than Mark Carney? This guy calls himself a conservative, sucking up to the liberals endlessly, praising liberal leaders endlessly. Give me a break. This is all just fake. This is all for show. It means nothing. Why aren't you criticizing Mark Carney? Why aren't you criticizing the Liberal Party who created this environment where this is happening in the first place? He never will, because I think he's actually one of them. You know, there's so much speculation about him wanting to be the leader of the federal conservatives. That's never going to happen because too many conservative voters see him as a total and utter traitor to conservatism. Not that he ever was in the first place. I think he's more likely to run for liberal leader at some point, quite frankly. Again, he's a progressive conservative. Anyway, what a joke. Let's see. From Clyde Do Something. The elbows up lemmings take Canada right off the cliff. Good work, elbows up. Canadian economy shrinks 1.6% in second quarter as U.S. tariffs squeeze exports. I guess that elbows up thing didn't really work. I guess that retaliatory tariffs thing didn't really work. Huh. Nothing is happening. And will something happen? Will anything positive happening? Probably not with this lot that we got leading us. All right. Let's move on. So what's going on with this? Let's actually get back to the chat for a second. We got lots of chat going on. Brian Watson says, Doug Ford, what a fool. Glad I didn't vote for him. Doesn't say anything about Carney taking his money out of Canada, but yells at Crown Royal leaving. Well, exactly. He's a liberal, really. Let's see. Radio Streamer says, I think that Crown Royal should tweet thanking him for his business, even if they don't like how he used their product. Maybe Doug Ford should be asking questions about why they're moving bottling plants south. Steve Tollison, they're really going to have a hard time convincing me to support Gaza. I always thought the hostage takers were the bad guys. Well, exactly. I don't know. Here's where I am on that. Okay. Here's where I am. So I'm willing to make a statement now on Israel and Palestine. So let's watch this. So here's Montreal now. This is what's happening, right? And this is going on constantly. No freakouts from CBC, no calls to, no accusations of being far left and, influenced, I don't know, by Putin or something. How about this?
You understand? The Palestinians being slaughtered, and the recording their slaughter is not here to entertain us. We are not here for your entertainment. We are here as a reminder of what's going on so that you see us and you join us, inshallah. Remember, whatever we do, we are not here for anyone's entertainment.
No, and you're not very entertaining. And frankly, I wish you would just leave. Now, how about this guy? So who's this? Pakistani Canadian Ali Badshaw claims he's going to put every Zionist in prison, ruin their life, or put them in the ground. Well, who's this guy? Ali Badshaw. There he is without the beard. Working as a comedian, Badshaw has written and acted in comedy skits for, you'd never guess, comedy skits. CBC, CTV, the Comedy Network, MTV, ABC2 Australia. He really gets around. I guess he can't find a place that has no Jews in it, so he just keeps moving. But CBC, CTV. Huh. Why does that not surprise me at all? Let's see. Ali Rizvi Badshaw. To come. Well, something tells me there was a little write-up for him before, considering why would they be to come now? He worked for them in the past. Something tells me they took it down. Why would they do that? Let's hear him here.
for sending every single genocidal Zork pig to
Zork pig. I haven't heard that one before.
prison or ruining their lives or putting them in the fucking ground. Fuck Israel, free Palestine.
Well, that sounds genocidal to me. How come there's no freakout on the CBC when their former employee says things like this? That actually sounded, if you read the Hamas charter, right, that's like their mission statement. It's all Allahu Akbar, and it's explicitly genocidal. You cannot walk away from it with any other understanding of their goals, right? It's very clear. Go and read it yourself. You'll be shocked. So yeah, I guess he did skits for the CBC, CTV. Very nice. Very nice. What's this one here? It's Iranian actor Ali Badshaw. So it's Iranian, they're saying in this, as a message to the Jewish community of Toronto. So actor Ali Badshaw has a message to the Jewish community of Toronto. Well, let's take a look here.
So the problem is bigger than Zionism. It's Jewish supremacy. You got to wonder, why are these people always like, I'm so scared. I'm so scared of what's going to happen to us. Our community is so scared. Your community is really scared right now because deep down, you all know how deeply racist and evil you are. You all know that you view the rest of us like cattle. You all know.
So all Israelis are evil. Huh. That almost sounds kind of anti-Semitic or racist or something. I thought that the media was supposed to be really worried about this sort of thing. But I guess not, because they like hire people like this to do skits for them. Okay. Let's see. What else we got here? Let's see. How about this? How about this gem right here? How about this beautiful addition to Canadian culture?
And Canada is a white supremacist, colonial, racist project, as is Israel, as is the state of Israel.
Great. Thanks for being here. White supremacist, colonial, racist project. Great. Thank you. Thank you for your contributions to Canadian culture. Let's see. Here's a guy who's just like harassing a Jewish guy on the street. I think is this in Montreal? Where was this? Montreal. That's right. Apparently Montreal is the worst for all of this stuff. That's nice. Let's see. Here we have Islamists gathered in front of Notre Dame Basilica of Montreal, most famous church in Canada. It's quite beautiful, actually. A show of force and pure hatred against Christians. So these are shows of dominance. I mean, the choice of where they do this, it's obviously intentional, right? If this were Christians, if Sean Foyt showed up in front of a mosque and started singing, he would be arrested immediately. And there would be, the media would immediately have a white supremacy gasm and not stop talking, lead off every newscast for a month with it, right? With the phobia, the attack, the far right attack. Let's see. Terrorists attack a Jewish girls' school in Toronto. Third time it's been targeted. So that's nice, shooting at it. That's great. So what else do we have here? Here they just went to a Jewish neighborhood to try and intimidate them, which is great. I want to show you something else as well. What happened here? We're going to kill you one by one. Jewish store owners threatened in Montreal, Canada, and told to flee to Israel.
Because Saint-Luc, we went Cavendish, we went Mossad, we gonna empty the fucking store, forget you own everything. You take your fucking baggage, we go to fucking Israel. You can many crime here in Canada. Fuck you.
So this is great. Another diversity contribution. Let's see. What do we have here? There's one more thing here. How about this? How about this?
Death to Canada! Death to the United States! And death to Israel!
There we death to Canada, death to the United States, death to Israel. So I've decided to come down on the side here. Whatever those people are against, I'm for. Whatever this guy is against, whatever this guy hates the most, I'm for. So I'm coming down. I'm coming down on Israel's side now. I'm declaring for Israel. Whatever these guys are most passionately against, I am for. These people do not represent me. These people do not represent any vision of Canada that anybody would actually want to live in, like a normal person. Anybody who grew up in Canada, this is not Canada. This is something else. This is something that's been done to Canadians. This is something that's been forced on Canadians, right? And yes, you have your useful idiots who know absolutely nothing. They don't know which river or which sea even when they're chanting their slogan. But this is not the Canada I grew up in. This is not what Canada should have been. This was not a grassroots demand for this. This was forced on us. This was forced on us by our politicians. This was mostly forced on us by the Liberals over the last 10 years. They managed to transform the country into something worse, something much worse. And this is now a generational issue. In fact, there are some things that will never be fixed at this point, right? So this is what happens when a society falls asleep and doesn't pay attention, because the fanatics, the activists, the ideologues, they don't sleep and they don't stop and they keep going until they bring this to your country. It is sad. It's very sad what's happened here. Let's go back to the chat for a second. Danny, how you doing? Good evening, everyone. Hope you had a wonderful long weekend. Happy Labor Day. Good to see you. All right. JDL says TDS is in Canada too. TDS is worse in Canada, considerably worse in Canada. It's been a decade-long tsunami of media propaganda. Here's how the Canadian media works. It works in collusion with the leftist parties in Canada, but mainly the Liberal Party, who funds them. So in order to dissuade people from voting conservative, right? So they will demonize whatever American conservative there is, American conservative president, nonstop demonization, right? And then they compare the Canadian conservatives to them. So they give Canadians they have given Canadians just a totally warped and distorted version, even more so than MSNBC or CNN, but a warped and distorted version of American conservatism and MAGA and Donald Trump. And then they use that as a bludgeon to hit the Canadian conservatives over the head. Justin Trudeau in Parliament calling Pierre Poilievre Maple MAGA, right? Carney saying that Pierre Poilievre will kneel to Donald Trump. Well, Mark Carney in his meetings with Trump did all but kneel to him, quite frankly. He was a lot more flattering than Pierre Poilievre would have been. But they use it, they try and so they lie about they lie about American conservatism, right? And then they try and paste Canadian conservatism with their lies. And they use it as a weapon. And it's the media and the politicians working together to do this. And because there's no Fox News in Canada, there's no, TV conservative alternative to CTV, Global, CBC, all of which get money from the Liberal Party to some extent. Because there's no alternative, you just end up with a huge portion of the population being just totally brainwashed. Steve Tollison says 10 more years of your crazy government, and boy, will you need that drink he just poured out. Unfortunately, I don't drink anymore. Oh, well. It's just neocitrins and cough medicine for me, I'm afraid. Danny Ringus says, I feel sad what Canada has become. I do too. It really is a shame. It didn't have to be. Let's see. What else you guys saying? So we've got a bit of a disconnect with the, I think we got a bit of a disconnect with the chat on, hold on. Yeah, with the chat on the screen and with the actual chat on the channel. Let's see. Trudeau Survivor says, Ford looks like an idiot pouring out the liquor. Such an infantile response to a business decision. Yeah, and he doesn't, again, like he will not point any fingers at Carney ever for anything. Let's see. Trudeau Survivor says, Ford is so weak, too. He's using his whole body to hold the bottle at arm's length. Well, he's not in the best shape, is he? Bad Uncle Frank says, make the Crusades great again. You know, it's, you look at European countries and you can see real conflict on the horizon. You can see it coming. It's just a matter of whether or not in the coming decades that the, indigenous Europeans of France or Germany or the UK or wherever will actually defend themselves. And that's not certain. All right. Danny Ringus says, Canadian conservatism and American conservatism are two different camps. They're not the same thing. They're not there, and they can't run quite the same way. Although I think that a bit more of the Trump in terms of just telling the truth, like not caring what the media says. So just saying things that are just objectively, demonstrably true. Right? Like about, for instance, Trump with the border. Just said what was true. He's never worried about what the press said about him. He just says, this is what's happening. This is true. And because it's true, it works. And Pierre has learned from that, I think. And I think he's learned that the media will never like him. So we might as well just tell the truth. Let's see. But yeah, it's never going to be quite the same. It wouldn't work quite the same way. What do we got going on here? That's a nice picture. It's slow motion. I find it very soothing, this one. It's very calming. The chat, like the live stream chat in the studio seems totally disconnected from the chat on the Rumble page, which is weird. All right, I'll have to keep going back and forth. Do we have time for an ad, I wonder? I bet you we do. Oh, they're not letting me do one. Maybe if I do this. Hold on. Can I do it now? Nope, that didn't work. For some reason, it's not letting me do, because there's some sort of bug happening, so it's not letting me do an ad read, which is a bummer. Oh, well. Let me skip all the way down again. All right. What do we got next? You got the Crown Royal. What was this? So let's see this. Libs of TikTok posted this. Michigan State Rep Lori Pohutsky, Democrat, of course, tells kids on TikTok that she can help them access sex change treatments after University of Michigan announced they will stop offering those procedures, those medical experiments to kids. It just, how can any sane adult not see how deranged all of this is? Right? Taking depressed children, telling them that they're born in the wrong body, and the only cure is permanent medicalization and pretending to be a facsimile of something they can never be. sterilization, mutilation. What sane person could ever imagine that that would be a cure for suicidal ideation and not a cause of it? Like, you don't need to be a medical expert for any of this stuff to just, you don't need to be you don't need to be a doctor or a medical expert to parse any of this out. It just seems that these are obvious problems with the logic behind it all. All right. I mean, not to mention the fact it's all clearly pseudoscientific gibberish.
In light of the announcement from U of M that they would be ending gender-affirming care for those under 19.
Gender-affirming care. Euphemism. It's ironic. I mean, it's gender-affirming care. Gender-affirming care would be affirming their actual gender, not changing it. This is conversion therapy. But as with everything that is radical left, and surely this is as far left, radical left as it gets, because we're talking about medical experiments on children here. It's insane. But everything is the opposite of what they say it is every single time.
I wanted to just make a couple of things clear for people here in Michigan. Firstly, trans healthcare is still legal here in Michigan for everyone. There was no change in law that spurred this decision by the University of Michigan, only their own cowardice. There are people currently working tirelessly to fill the gaps created by this decision, and I would strongly encourage people to follow Equality Michigan for updates and resources. I also want to say unequivocally that gender-affirming care is essential and supported by science. So anyone who came...
No, it's not. It's not supported by science. Has she even heard of the WPATH files? Does she know what WPATH is? Is she aware of the conclusions that Sweden came to after having done these procedures for many years and then reassessing their data and then going way back on it, taking a big step back on it? Is she aware of the Cass report? Like, there should at least be some doubt. Like, there should at least be some, well, okay, there's at least two sides to this. Maybe it's not essential. There's actually a lot of questions around this. You know, that's why you've got countries like very progressive. What's more progressive than Sweden? Reversing course on this stuff. But there's just none. How can an adult be so adamant and self-righteous about this and not know any of these things? Or maybe she's heard and she just blocked it out. Is this just simply the mind virus, the idea pathogen that takes away your agency, your free will, and just turns you literally into a woke zombie whose only purpose is to spread the mind virus to other vulnerable minds? Because this is surreal. This is weird. This is alternate universe stuff here. And you got somebody who otherwise seems like just a reasonable person, but spewing utter nonsense and gibberish.
Here to spew nonsense in the comments section can go argue with the wall. I am not the one, and I do not give a damn. I have spent my entire time in the Michigan House supporting and passing legislation to protect trans Michiganders, and that isn't going to stop.
It's a zombie. I mean, this is a zombie right here. Libs of TikTok. This is how desperate Democrats are to mutilate your kids. Monsters. It's baffling. I think people in the future will be very confused and incredulous about this stuff. This is like the modern, lobotomy treatment for depression. Something is very, very wrong. And it's people like this that are going to have to get sued into oblivion to make this stuff stop. Sued by detransitioners who trusted people like this. What about this? Libs of TikTok. Randall Children's Hospital in Oregon provides a suggested list of books to kids that say a boy can become a girl and you can be born in the wrong body. What does that even mean? How does that make sense? Born in the wrong body. It's the only body you're ever going to have. You know, it's all of your ancestors reaching back way before history, all collaborating to make you. You're never going to have a different body. What does that even mean? It doesn't make sense. They even admit that the books may not be age appropriate for some kids, yet still suggest them for kids. Well, that's like in the WPATH files, the leaks that came, the thousands of files, internal communications, and Zoom meetings from WPATH, the World Professional Association of Transgender Health, which is the authority that all the other authorities appeal to wash themselves of guilt in their complicity in these abominable experiments. But even in those WPATH, in those leaked files, you see that they admit that the patients, the children, can't give informed consent. They don't understand it. In fact, they admit that their brains aren't developed enough to even understand the consequences of what they're doing, yet they still do it. Evil is the right word. I mean, something's got to break with this stuff, right? Anyway, let's move on. So, so apparently the left all weekend had decided that because they hadn't heard from Trump for a few days that he had died. There was something going on, something terrible going on. They were used to not hearing from Biden for like months at a time, yet they don't hear from Trump for 3 days. I guess it's wishful thinking from them in their deranged minds. They're in their dark, dark hearts. I don't know, but here's Peter Doocy asking Trump about it. He's trying to make it funny here, but it kind of the joke kind of dies on him here. Doesn't really work. Trump doesn't really play along. I feel a bit bad for Peter here because he didn't mean it, and he just wanted to try and be funny, but it kind of flops a little bit. JD gets it. Let's watch.
President Trump, something completely different, but about a big viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No.
People didn't see you for a couple days. 1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Really?
You didn't see that?
You know, I have heard, it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said, there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do them for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him, and we know he wasn't in the greatest of shape. No, I heard that. I get reports.
And we know he wasn't in the greatest of shape. He's still to this day sticking the knife in with Biden. Well, Biden did try and destroy him after all, so.
Now, you knew I did an interview that lasted for about an hour and a half with somebody, and everybody saw that was on one of your competitors. I did numerous shows and also did a number of truths, long truths, I think pretty poignant truths. No, I was very active over the weekend. They also knew I went out to visit some people at the club that I own pretty nearby on the Potomac River. And no, I've been very active actually over the weekend. I didn't hear that one. That's pretty serious stuff. Well, it's fake news. You know, it's just it's so fake. That's why the media has so little credibility. I knew they were saying like, is he okay? How's he feeling? What's wrong? I said, I just left. And it's also sort of a longer weekend, you know, it's Labor Day weekend. So I would say a lot of people know I was very active this Labor Day. I had heard that, but I didn't hear it to that extent. Go ahead, Peter.
So, yeah, alive. Alive. I guess the left is very disappointed. Well, we found out how they felt after Butler, didn't we? They weren't shy about saying it. Let's see. So this is very interesting. I thought you guys would want to see this. Actually, before that, I'm just checking. There's definitely a glitch happening with Rumble Studio because the YouTube chat is now showing up on the screen in the Rumble Studio, but the Rumble chat is not showing up in Rumble Studio. So that's kind of weird. I don't know why that's happening. All right. So I've got to kind of go back and forth. And the YouTube doesn't show up on the Anyway, let's just continue. Nick Sortor posted this. Breaking: President Trump just released the video of the U.S. military striking a drug boat from Venezuela heading to America carrying 11 Tren de Aragua narco-terrorists who were killed in the strike. So, all right, let's watch the video first here. So here's this boat. So, yeah, they had, I think, 4 ships off the coast of Venezuela. Some people were thinking that they were going to invade Venezuela. I thought that was not realistic. But yeah, I guess they're basically setting up a blockade to stop drug smugglers. Let's take a look. Well, those will be the last drugs these guys ever smuggle again. Yep. Done. So, not messing around. Trump said earlier this morning, on my orders, U.S. military forces conducted a kinetic strike against positively identified Tren de Aragua narco-terrorists in the Southcom area of responsibility. So those guys will not be taking over any apartment buildings in Colorado. So if you're around that area, things just got a little bit better. TDA, Tren de Aragua, is a designated foreign terrorist organization operating under the control of Nicolas Maduro, responsible for mass murder, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, acts of violence, and terror across the United States and Western Hemisphere. Well, it is a dirty socialist commie country, so nothing good is going to come out of Venezuela, is it, unfortunately, except for some Venezuelans who want to be free and are willing to go to countries legally. All right, so there's that. So Trump is serious about the drug, I guess, a new war on drugs. All right, let's move on. We already looked at this. EU, 6 candidates from Germany's right-wing AfD party died days apart in lead up to local elections. So let's take a look. Let's pull up the article. Now, this seems like it might, 6 candidates from AfD die 13 days apart and lead up to local elections. Can that just be coincidence? I think that's extremely unlikely. Have you ever heard of such a thing before? Four candidates and 2 reserves from the right-wing AfD political party in Germany have dropped dead within 13 days of each other just before elections, according to reports. The Alternative for Deutschland candidates were set to appear on ballots in North Rhine-Westphalia on September 14th. Officials said no foul play. Really, no foul play is currently suspected in any of their deaths. 6 of them? Within 2 weeks, right before an election? Really? No foul play? I suspect foul play. That seems like a pretty good guess right now, foul play, doesn't it? Hold on one second. Let me see if all right, hold on. German officials stated that 2 of the deaths were a result of natural causes, but have not commented on the cause of the others. But nothing to see here. Only 6 from one party within 13 days. Nothing weird about that. The AfD was not expected to be competitive in the regional September elections, the European Conservative reported. However, the party made significant progress since the last state elections in 2022, climbing from 5.4% in the polls to 16.8% within North Rhine-Westphalia. North Rhine-Westphalia has a population of 18 million, and a reported 20,000 candidates will run for office this cycle. Well, 20,000 candidates, that is a lot. So we got to say that's a lot. But still, though, I'm not sure. I don't know, 6? I mean, this is the party they're talking about banning because it's too popular and it's too based, right? And it's not a let's just mass immigrate Germany into total destruction party like the rest of them apparently are. So I don't know. 6? I mean, that is a lot. 20,000 is a lot of candidates, but still 6 really from one party? I don't know about that. Let's go back here again. Let's see. All right, I got to go back a little bit for the Rumble chat. Let's see. Well, True to Survivor solved it with the glitch on Rumble. The problem here, obviously, it was this. I don't know why I didn't see it. AIDS Monkey Zero, the original AIDS Monkey, bit Rumble Studio and gave it AIDS. Powerful AIDS. Very powerful AIDS. Obviously, that's what's happening here. So, nice work there. Are you a doctor or a programmer? Blunderworld, how you doing, Blunderworld? Says, sharks within 20 miles of that boat got high as fuck. Beautiful observation there. I think you're right. Mickey, how you doing? It looks like Mickey's on a cruise ship in Alaska. I hear that's beautiful. Good to see you. Just think about that. That's kind of amazing, right? So I'm just here in my home studio doing the Radio Baloney live show, and there's like Mickey off on a cruise ship in Alaska listening to the show, watching the show. Isn't that kind of amazing? Like, this is kind of an amazing thing about this new form of media. I think that's like so cool and awesome. Don't you guys think that? Like, that's like Mickey's off, and like I remember I think it was Radio Streamer was had a long driving back, some long drive from somewhere and stopped off at a cafe and was like watching the show on his phone and got into the chat. And I thought that was ages ago, and I thought that's just really kind of cool. Like off on a cruise ship in Alaska and checking out the show. I mean, I don't know. I think there's something really cool. There's just something really kind of awesome about the community in the kind of community that's possible with this new kind of form of media. I think it's really, really neat, actually. Let's see. Radio Streamer says, I bet somebody somewhere did some math and figured out the vote was split too much for their candidate to win unless those 6 were gone. It seems suspicious to me. I'm not reading that, True to Survivor. I'm not reading that you're an amateur gynecologist. It's my fault. It's my fault. I've cultured this in my community. It's my fault. There's nobody. Don't blame True to Survivor. It's my fault. This is what I've created here. This is what I've cultivated on Radio Baloney Live. It's my fault. I'm to blame. Blame me. Blame me. Don't blame anybody else. Let's see. Rosie says, guess my dad was right. I said I liked early voting in case I died. I still got to vote. Oh, it's getting dark. It's getting dark on this stream. He said he preferred election day voting in case the candidate died. He had not wasted his vote. Well, that's also a good point. Which one? Which way do you go? I don't know. Let's see. All right. Raider Streamer says it was the local Waffle House. No good fights, though. I do get people, we get beautiful people, the most beautiful people from the Radio Baloney chat, like, checking in from the road all the time. I always say, make sure you're not driving, though. In fact, I don't think I ever say that, but I'm going to start saying that from now on. Don't do that while you're driving. Because I care. That's why. If you need to know, it's because I care, because I have a heart. Even though I never learned how to love. Isn't that sad? If anybody asks you, what's that fucking Radio Baloney guy's problem? Just tell him he never learned how to love. That's sad. That'll quiet him right there. Let's see. So what's happening here? Tom Moore posts incitement charges incoming from Department of Justice for Let's Go Brandon Johnson. Given that his city is a shooting gallery, this rhetoric is a dog whistle to violence against the National Guard and ICE agents. So Brandon Johnson, he's the mayor of Chicago, who is, as far as I can tell, just an absolute half-wit racist. Let's see. Let's take a look, and you guys can make up your own minds on this.
Are you prepared to defend this land that was built by slaves, a land that was built by indigenous people, a land that is built.
This is the lie that they tell. The land was built by slaves and indigenous people. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was not built by the modern United States. Was not built by slaves and indigenous people. It was not. The United States was not built by slaves on plantations. It was not. And even economically, I mean, part of the reason that the South lost is because slavery was an economic drag. The North had a more advanced economy because they didn't have slavery. So it's just lies. They just say, they just spout these assertions. And I guess the smooth-brained people, the useful idiots, they just buy it. They just buy it every time. It's weird. But it's just clearly on its face untrue.
By workers, are you prepared to defend this land? The people united will always prevail. I need you all to stand firm, to stand strong. If this president decides to continue to break this Constitution, are you prepared to defend this land? This land.
Defend this land. Defend the land. From what? From Law and Order? Like from the, I don't get it. So what are the National Guard doing in DC? Well, they're cleaning up, right? And they're basically just backup for the police. And if there's National Guard walking around, you're just less likely to commit a crime for obvious reasons, right? There's nothing unconstitutional happening, right? It's just law is getting enforced, right? They're not allowing homeless encampments and like filth everywhere and garbage everywhere. That's what's happening. So they're going to resist living in a nicer, safer city. That's what he's asking them to resist. Literally, that's what he's asking them to resist, right? That is literally what he's asking them to fight against. Like a nice society, a nice city, a nicer city, feeling safe, less crime. It's weird. I mean, but I guess, I guess you have to take them at their word. They want dysfunction. They want crime. They want garbage everywhere. They want tent cities. They want drug addiction. Just take them at their word. Just believe it when they say it. They're not working against it. They're actively working for dysfunction. They're actually working for everything that makes life worse for everybody. They're just not hiding it anymore. They're not pretending. Like, he's not even pretending at this point that his policies will help anybody. No, he's just, as far as I can see, he's just telling them outright, you have to fight so that I can continue to make your lives worse and worse. And you can live in more and more fear and around more and more garbage and filth and tent cities and drug addiction. I find it all very weird. I don't see how it's sustainable. I just don't see how it's sustainable politically. How can it be? I don't know. When they give you attitude, here's a palate cleanser. Let's look at some dogs. That makes us feel better after listening to that half-wit communist mayor of Chicago.
Do you think that throwing a tantrum and yelling at me is going to... Let me finish the question. Okay.
All I'm saying is don't give me attitude.
Benji.
Oh, well, that was a little bit precious right there, wasn't it?
Hey.
Ginger! Look at me.
Deuce, can you get out the kitchen, please? Get your ass!
Oakley, come here. Come here.
That was my favorite right there. We got to watch him again. He just says no. And I think he meant it.
Oakley, come here. Come here.
Because I don't know why you even left it open. If you was done, you'd have came. Girl.
You take 6 feet back. Back up. Back up.
What the hell?
No. I know one thing. You better leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
No, you don't talk to me like that. Stop it.
And so you ready to spread some love?
And then what happened?
I feel like that last one wasn't real. I feel like that wasn't real at all.
Stop. Okay. Hey, we don't bark this early. Now, what did I just say? What did I say? No. When you change your clothes.
All right, that's enough of that. Anyway, dogs are great, though. That was a good palate cleanser right there. Wilfred Riley posted this. This should become a legendary image. Illegal migrant cooks omelet with the flame from Europe's Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. This looks like Europe just being conquered. This looks like Europe has been conquered right here. That's what this looks like. I don't know. It's very, very sad. I thought this was just kind of interesting. Willem Dafoe. He's a great actor, I think. I think he's very, very good. I liked him. My favorite role for him was in Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, that's a movie that I love with Bill Murray. It's mainly because it's got Bill Murray in it, but that's a great movie. But he was fantastic in that, although he's been in about 1 million films. Let's take a look here. So he had no idea who he was interviewing. So I guess it's a Zoomer, probably.
I love your outfit. What do you do for a living?
I'm an actor.
Really? What's your name? Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, Willem.
What do you like about your job?
It's always different. Nothing's ever the same.
No day's the same. For someone who's getting into your career, what advice can you tell them?
I don't give advice.
You don't give advice?
No, everybody's got to find their own way.
That's true.
Just enjoy.
How do you want to be remembered?
I don't think about that.
Don't think about that?
No.
And then last but not least, what do you see yourself 5 years from now?
I don't know. I mean, I have a hard time thinking beyond tomorrow.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. I love your work.
Yeah, help me out here.
You're an amazing me. I love your outfit.
He seems pretty cool. He doesn't seem like your typical Hollywood jackass. So most of the time, they just seem like jackasses. But he seems all right. So I thought maybe we'll show the bright side of it, of celebrity. Not that was particularly bright. He's just not a total asshole douchebag, I guess. So that made it interesting. Let's see. I don't even want to show that one, actually. Let's see. We'll get onto this here. Actually, this is from Rosie. Want to make perpetual stew? Some tips for doing it safely. NPR. Did I pull up the? I thought I pulled up the actual article for this. Hold on. Let's see. Give me 1 second. All right, there it is. So we can thank Rosie for this one. Thank you, Rosie, for sending this one in. But first, I got to take a break for a second. So there we go. So let's just go back here for a sec. What do you guys want? Let's find a new one. Let's see. There's the drunk girl getting arrested. This is a good one, but maybe we'll keep going. This is just a perpetual favorite, I think, because it's funny. All right, I'll be back in a couple of minutes, you guys. All right. Thank you for your patience, everybody. All right. This is a good time to suggest that if you are not a subscriber to the channel, subscribe to the channel, become a channel member. That's awesome. That's the best way you can help out the channel. Also, gifting free memberships is also the best way you can help the channel. It's an awesome thing to do, and everybody loves it. And people are happy, and it's really nature's greatest miracle. Also, liking the stream, big deal. Everybody's doing it. All of your favorite celebrities are doing it right now. Do it right now. Don't be left behind. Don't let the gatekeepers win. I'll just leave it with that. All right. True to Survivor says, my favorite movie with Willem Dafoe is American Psycho. That was a good one, too. Kind of gross, but a good movie. All right. Radio streamer sent the perpetual stew. Rosie just passed it along. Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying that. But let's get to it. Want to try perpetual stew? No. Some tips for avoiding foodborne illness. That's why I don't want to try it, because of the foodborne illness part. Let's see. So that just looks gross anyway. They just threw whatever in there into the perpetual stew. Perpetual stew is when you keep a stew stewing for days, weeks, maybe even years. No thanks. And also, by the way, do I want to just eat the same thing for years? That just seems like a weird thing too. Do I want to just eat stew for like the next 3 years? No. Why would I want to do that? That's stupid. There's a whole world of food I could eat other than stew. I think I'll just eat stew until 2030. You may serve a portion or two and keep replenishing the broth and ingredients. Somehow it stays good, or that's the goal, which means it doesn't stay good. Let's see. They've been documenting their perpetual stew journeys on TikTok. They've named their perpetual stew Supina, Stuthius, and Stupees, respectively. I don't know. This is all sounding stupid. And nothing good ever came from TikTok, obviously. If it came from TikTok, don't do it. Perpetual stew went viral in 2023 when Annie who runs the depths of the depths of Wikipedia social media pages started serving it out of a slow cooker in Brooklyn. This type of stew is still making its rounds on social media. I say again, nothing good ever came from TikTok. That's the Chinese government wants you to do this. That should be all the warning that you need. But is it safe? Unless you maintain the stew at a safe temperature, which is about 140 degrees Fahrenheit, you can get bacterial growth in that stew, says James Rogers, Director of Product Safety Research and Testing at Consumer Reports. I don't know. Why would you want to have just this stew that you've constantly got to be monitoring the temperature of? Otherwise, you're going to get food poisoning. That doesn't make any sense to me. You should be using a food thermometer to measure what the temperature is, and you must keep it at all times above 140 degrees Fahrenheit, even overnight. So why? Why not? Why? I just like stew. I only like eating stew. That's why I do this. Rogers doesn't recommend you try it at home. But if you do, sometimes some bacteria will release toxins when they grow, and these toxins are resistant to heat. So when you reheat the food, the bacteria may die, but the toxins may still be there. Okay, so I'm sold. I'm never trying this stupid frickin' thing that these people saw on TikTok. Done. 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 Done and done. Let's see. The Babylon Bee. Trump unveils giant cannon for faster, more entertaining deportations from the Babylon Bee. They must have seen my Grok versus Trudeau videos, right? Those segments from the live streams while Trudeau was still, because every one of those ended with Trudeau being shot from a giant cannon into the sun. I think they must have seen it. Didn't give me any credit, though, so, although, of course, they didn't. Let's see. The slowest police chase so far this year. Women should not be police officers. It's just obvious, something that everybody knew forever until now, until we have to ignore reality, right? Here's reality. You want to know what's real? This is real, okay? This is dysfunction. This is, I mean, she's jogging, and they can't catch her. She's jogging. I mean, this is dysfunction. How does this serve anybody? It doesn't. To serve and protect. I mean, I guess when they catch their breath, what the hell is that? How does this exist? How do videos like this exist? And then they still keep making women police officers. It makes no sense. It's just a total denial of reality. It's fantasy world. It's delusion. Again, she's jogging. She's not Usain Bolt. She's jogging and they still can't catch her. When will we learn? When will we learn? Just another night in Corpus Christi. When will we learn? I mean, there's two of them. They can't stop her, and then they can't catch her, and she's not even running. She's jogging. She's going for a leisurely jog there. Look. It's like Keystone Cops. Come on. I mean, the thing is, it's all fun and jokes and everything, right? But what if that's somebody who's actually dangerous? Like, the police need to be able to deal with dangerous people. And these two obviously can't. Oh my God, absolutely pathetic. Let's see, this dog has its own exercise routine. All right, let's check it out. Let's see. Well, that is hilarious. Oh, so I always wonder, can dogs see what's happening on the screen? Like Mr. Snacks doesn't pay any attention to the TV at all, but obviously they can. I guess some are just not interested. I don't know. Anyway, that's pretty funny. I approve of that dog. It looks like the chat seems to maybe have corrected itself again. Let's throw it back up. Let's see if it keeps up. All right. What did I just do? Accidentally. Hold on. There we go. All right. Actually, why don't I select a tweet to pin up? Let's see, a good one. Let's see. Well, how about this one here? Let's try this one. Pin this one now. I always enjoyed Willem Dafoe, and yes, that's all I require from my movie stars. Don't be a douche. The smart ones don't tell you their politics, and Willem Dafoe is never, as far as I know, given an interview or a tweet or anything where he lectures anybody about politics. Let's see. Denny said this, which is, really sad. I feel sad what Canada's become. We all do. And it's only getting worse. I mean, we could have saved ourselves so much further trouble by electing Pierre Poilievre. I mean, and look, there's a chance Pierre might have betrayed us. I don't think so, but there's a chance he might have. But we could have saved ourselves so much trouble by not electing Mark Carney. Because Mark Carney is going to put it into overdrive. He is putting it into overdrive. Radio Streamer says, I think the Crown Royal should tweet thanking him for his business, even if they didn't like how he used their product, talking about Doug Ford and pouring out the Crown Royal. Just stupid political prank. Just so dumb. All right, that's it. That's all I'm putting up right now. Let's keep moving. We're on the last tab of the evening, so let's get through everything here. Swan gets ignored, begging for help, saving baby. Oh, I think we watched this one yesterday. Let's move on. All right. Or on Sunday. So this one here is interesting. Twin sisters woke up and started chatting loudly, but they pretended to be asleep as soon as they heard the mother's footsteps. Now, I actually find this kind of creepy. Like the eyes, like there's something very paranormal activities about this. And that's what it feels like. It's got that feeling. It's like one of them's going to start floating or something like that. It creeps me out. Well, it's a night vision camera thing. Very paranormal activities. I don't want to see any more videos from that house. Something terrible is going to happen. How to distinguish Asian languages. This is a good one. Let's check it out.
How to distinguish Asian languages. Again, Mandarin Chinese sounds like spaceships getting shot. Vietnamese sounds like cranky rubber bands. Korean sounds like a whiny machine gun. Thai sounds like a robot with arthritis. Japanese sounds like a dramatic keyboard. And Filipino sounds like a Spanish motorcycle. Ang problema ay bawang, pero gusto kumain ng buto. Dapat ba tayong lumipad ng bisikleta?
That was pretty good. And it was done by an Asian guy, so it's not racist. Not racist. Why did Lord Farquaad give up on climate change? It was never about climate change. The issue is never the issue. The issue is always the revolution. She started out with the climate change thing, but she was always going to go full on commie. Always, right? It didn't take her that long to get onto, it's really capitalism. That's the real problem. And then she jumped on the Palestine, Gaza thing, I'm sure knowing absolutely nothing about it, like 99% of the useful idiots. And it turned out it was just communism all the time. It was anti-capitalism the whole time. That's the thread that goes through every single one of these causes, far left, radical left causes, every single one. It turns out what they really want is communism. That's the solution. It's a one-size-fits-all solution to everything. Communism, that'll fix ancient blood feuds in the Middle East. That'll fix it. All right. Ballot scandal. This is from Newsmax. A 69-year-old Canadian man who has resided in the U.S. since the 1960s has been charged with illegally voting in the 2022 and 2024 U.S. elections. I'm sure he voted Democrat. I'm sure he did that. Now, I believe that Rosie was speculating whether this was me. I am not 69. I'm nowhere near 69. So no, it's not me. And I wouldn't do it anyway. Obviously. So Canadian man charged with voting illegally in 22, 24 U.S. elections. I thought people never voted illegally, though. Isn't that what, Joy Reid said or something? Didn't Democrats say that never happens? Didn't CNN say that never happens? It's weird how this thing that never happens, they keep finding out that it was happening. So strange. Actress Robin Wright has fled the United States for the UK, says it's liberating and there's freedom of self there. Really? UK literally arrests people for retweets and jokes. This is how clueless these people are, these celebrity moralizers, these self-righteous celebrity scolds are. This is how dumb and uninformed they are. She fled to the UK where there's freedom of self. So I want to talk to Graham Linehan, who's been arrested for tweets. Might want to talk to him. Beloved creator of, the beloved creator, writer of Father Ted, the IT Crowd, Black Books in the UK. Might want to talk to him. I guess she didn't talk to him first. Not that it would have made any difference. I mean, they don't actually care. It's all just virtue signaling for them. They're so dumb that reality doesn't matter. They could learn what's actually real, right? They could confront reality, and they're too dumb to recognize it. Too stupid to recognize it. Can you imagine being this much of an idiot? Fleeing to the UK where there's freedom of self, because you don't have that in the United States. Let's see. Well, the UK obviously doesn't have a Second Amendment, but they definitely don't have a First Amendment either. So, they're arresting tens of thousands of people a year for posting what the government thinks are naughty things on the internet. Yeah, flee there. I mean, the thing is, she's perfectly safe because she won't tweet anything or say anything that's not just totally, she won't say anything that isn't radically progressive. So she's fine, right? Anything she says will be left wing. So all the authoritarianism there. I mean, I'm sure she'll actually get there. She'll be there, and she'll be very happy that Graham Linehan has been arrested. That's good. That's fighting fascism or something. Yeah, never underestimate the stupidity of a celebrity. Never, ever, ever. Looks like the chat is just not working on the screen tonight in studio. Super lame. Super lame. Let's see. Trudeau Survivor says, hold on a second. Let's get back to the chat for a second because we're getting close to the end of the stream now. Trudeau Survivor says, oh dear. Oh dear. Trudeau Survivor says, I hope Greta becomes a trans man. A trans man. Probably will. Because, she's going to have a harder and harder time getting attention, and that's the way to get attention. So, Rosie says, Richie, do you have a daughter? Girls can be sneaky. No, only sons. Only sons. That I know of. I mean, maybe I have some daughters that I don't know about. Possibly. I don't know. Let's see. Rosie says, as radio streamer pointed out, the last quote on the perpetual stew is disgusting, more disgusting than the rest. All right. Well, let's go back there. Hold on. Let's go back there. What was the last quote? Did we read the last quote? Don't remember. What's the last thing? I want it going indefinitely, Levitt said, and then I want to put into the stew. It's the circle of life. But if you try it, don't hold us responsible if you get sick. Is that the most disgusting? Attending to Stuthius, named after the ship of Theseus. What's Stuthius? Been tending to Stuthius, named after the ship of Theseus. Blah, 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 in his childhood bedroom for over a month and a half. Ugh. Gross. Gross. The whole thing is just a dumb idea. All right. What else you guys saying? Izzy says, sounds like a way to die from food poisoning. Well, that's what they were warning about that. Let's say. All right, let's get to the end. He wants to be put into the well, it doesn't say that. Oh, then I want to be I want it going indefinitely, and then I want to be put into the stew. It's a sort. Oh, I missed that. I didn't read that properly. And then I want to be put. Oh, circle of life. Oh, that's disgusting. So what is this? Does he have cannibal friends? Like he's got a bunch of cannibal friends who are like going to eat him after? Ugh, that is grotesque. Ugh, disgusting. Disgusting. Must be a bunch of dirty, filthy commies or something. Yuck. Ugh, I missed that somehow. Let's see. That's just disgusting. What disgusting people on the internet. Gross. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep barreling through. Let's get through this thing. Breaking. Armed civilians thwarted 48% of all criminal shooters last year, and the FBI lied about it. This is massive. The whole gun control thing in the States is really insane. For one thing, there are too many guns now. Like there's more guns than people to do gun control at this point. So all you're going to do is leave the large part of the population totally vulnerable to criminals who are going to just have tons of guns. Like you can't do it. You can't take people's guns away from them. Like, if there was ever a point that you could, not that it was ever a good idea in the first place, but you can't now. All you're going to do is just create a nation of victims, especially in like blue states. Like, it would have to go like really authoritarian at this point. Like, it just wouldn't work. Aside from the fact, I think it's unethical anyway. People should have the right to defend themselves. But the whole thing is just stupid from people who refuse to think about it. So armed citizens stopped 48% of criminal shootings, and the FBI lied about it. Yeah. So what's it like to live in a place where it's 0%?
This is freaking huge. Armed citizens stopped 48% of all criminal shooters last year, and the FBI was just...
Can you imagine if they did manage to take, like, legal gun owners, if they managed to take their guns away, right? And then there's still tons of guns that criminals have. Can you imagine what it would be a bloodbath? Like, nobody would ever feel safe again. If criminals knew you can just break, nobody's got a gun, but we've got lots of them. Like, it would be a nightmare scenario. The police aren't going to help you. There's not enough of them, right? Like, it's all insanity. The gun control thing in the States is insanity, and it would create a nightmare state if they took away everybody's guns. Because they're not going to get the criminals' guns.
Massively lying about those numbers in their public reports. They recorded, get this, none of them. 0%. Now, you and I and everyone else have seen those local heroes on social media, but rarely do we ever see these stories in mainstream media. Well, the script is about to flip because a new study by the Crime Prevention Research Center reveals that armed civilians stopped over 1/3 of active criminal shooters between 2014 and 2024, nearly 10 times higher than FBI's reported 3.7% average. And again, with even more Americans getting armed post-2020, just last year alone in 2024, civilians stopped half of all criminal shooters. Yet, as I just stated, the FBI recorded 0 of them. You might be asking, how is this possible? Well, while digging for the study, researchers found that police were often falsely credited instead of the armed civilian, which is a recording pattern that clearly increased over the last 10 years. Now, this begs the question, why would they work so hard?
Why would they work so hard? Let's continue.
To hide the significant benefits of an armed public.
Because they want you defenseless, obviously. What's this here? Ben on wine. Okay, so what's this? This looks like that's Lawrence Krauss there, physicist. And he's talking to Ricky Gervais. He's getting backlash, apparently, because of his comments on a podcast. Well, let's take a look.
Sort of target words and safe zones. People don't want to hear anything, a word that they don't like.
How arrogant are you to think that you deserve to go through life with no one ever saying anything that you don't agree with or like?
It's sort of target words and safe zones.
So I've heard him say that like lots of times. So I think maybe this is a bit of clickbait here or something. I've heard him say that many, many times. How arrogant are you to think that you deserve to go through life with no one ever saying anything that you don't agree with or like? You're woke arrogant is what you are. You're woke at that point. You're woke mind virus at that point. That's what's happened to you. Sane people don't think that way. Dramatic scenes in Ballarat as Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's motorcade is chased by a convoy of angry farmers in their tractors. I think they want to put like windmill electric lines across their farms, I believe. So this is Australia. Let's take a look. I think a lot of this stuff was influenced by or inspired by the Canadian truckers. I think they made a big impact around the world. I know that in Europe, when you had the farmers out, spraying manure on like government offices and stuff, and they had their tractors out and they're blocking roads. I know that was inspired by the Canadian truckers. I think they had a big impact around the world. How about Katie Hopkins? Batshit Bonkers Britain, Monday, the 1st of September. She's great. Let's take a look. She does not hold back.
Breaking news here in Batshit Bonkers Britain, where we are back on Monday the 1st of September. First up, Angela Rayner and her ginger growler is looking to be in trouble because she avoided £40,000 worth of tax on one of her many new homes, this one in the hellhole of Hove. She says she's not sure where she lives. Maybe that's because she's a bit of a chumbawamba and quite frankly the size of a house. It does make me wonder, doesn't it, how someone who left school knocked up with no qualifications can now be worth 4 million quid. But then you remember Zelensky's worth 30 million quid as a failed actor and comedian. So maybe it makes sense somewhere along the line to somebody. In other news, Hamas's spokesperson, the guy that regularly turns up in front of microphones, swaddled in a black and white tea towel looking like a bandaged human thumb, well, sadly, has been killed in an Israeli airstrike. We did reach out to Abu for comment, but we've heard nothing as yet. And finally, judges have decided that the rights of illegals outweigh the rights of British nationals who are paying for the illegals to be here. Do remember, good people, that just because someone has a fancy dress on, be that a judge or a doctor or a policeman, doesn't mean they have more true power than you do. It's great to see so many people raising the flag and taking to the streets. No doubt I'll be seeing you very soon. That's it for now. Batshit Bonkers Britain.
She's fantastic, and she is absolutely hated by the left in the UK. They absolutely hate her. It's funny how they hate a strong woman, right? If she's not in total conformity, ideological conformity with them. If they're an effective opponent, all of a sudden they're not interested in women's voices anymore. It's strange. It's like black conservatives. All of a sudden they're not interested in diverse voices anymore. If it's not total conformity with, white female leftist professors. It's amazing. All right. Nurse practitioner crashes while on her phone in a rented Turo car. There's really no excuse. There's really no excuse to be doing this. Look, what is she watching a movie on there? This should be prison time in my mind. This is just so reckless and insane. Like, how selfish do you have to be? Look at her. Look what she's doing. Look at this. She's texting. She's texting. She could have drifted into the other lane. Head on collision, killed a family. Good Lord, what an idiot. What an idiot. Should never be able to drive again. That's just my opinion. That's just what I think. Elon Musk on California. So he's going to talk about San Francisco here. I'm not sure when this was from. Did he make a recent appearance on Joe Rogan? I don't know. Let's take a look.
It's borderline illegal to be a Republican in California. In San Francisco or LA, it's borderline illegal to be a Republican.
You're certainly shunned.
No, in like San Francisco, you could shoot heroin while taking a dump on the mayor's car in front of City Hall. Okay. And nothing would happen to you. But if you walk down the street with a MAGA hat, you're going to get attacked.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's insane. It's also so Orwellian that a hat that says "Make America Great Again" would cause people to have a violent reaction. Like, aren't you American? Wouldn't just as a whole, like the saying, wouldn't that be a good thing for everyone? Make America great again. Yes. But because it's attached to Donald Trump and that red hat, you'll get maced for wearing that red hat. They will make America worse by beating you. So it's like it's an evil thing they're doing, a violent assault in America because you want to make America great again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a scene in a book. It doesn't seem like it could be that ridiculous. Like, remember when All Lives Matter would get you fired?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not really that surprising, though, that something like Make America Great Again would be so hated by the left because they hate America, obviously, right? They hate, the kind of ideals, the principles, meritocracy. I mean, maybe that's the most important word of all, right? Meritocracy. Anybody can come from anywhere in the world. And, if they're willing to work hard, make a life for themselves, work hard, play by the rules, and they can do better, right? They don't like that because that's not equity, right? That's equality. They don't like equality. They like equity, right? It's a world of shadowy abstractions, right? There's no laws that they can point to. So it's all these abstractions, these vague abstractions, systemic racism. It's never been explained to me what that actually means, right? Or some sort of subconscious bias, right? That's just an abstraction. That's not something you can prove. It's not something real or concrete. In fact, when it's been studied, it's been shown to be nonsense anyway. No, at least there's no evidence for it. But everything, like this weird, bizarre redefinition of the word gender, which was always just synonymous with sex. It was everybody just understood it as being the same as sex. But this redefinition into essentially the progressive soul, into this infinite series of abstractions. There's no reality to it all, right? It's, like they can't point to anything concrete. Like, the disparate outcomes between groups is the fault of like a statue. Or somebody's like private thoughts that they didn't share. None of it makes any sense. So a statement like Make America Great Again, they're going to hate that because it assumes it was great in the first place, which they don't agree with. Or they know that it was, but that stands in the way of becoming a communist dystopia. Because I know this all sounds very confusing and it sounds all very unlikely to be real, but you have to understand its ideology means everything to the woke mind virus zombies. All right. So they're not trying to fit their ideology into the world. They're trying to fit the world into their ideology, and they're very happy to break the world in the process. And by break the world, I mean break society, break civilization, break people. Right? We know that communists, when they get the opportunity, are very happy to kill millions of people for the cause. So, yeah, of course they're not going to Make America Great Again. Of course they're not. They don't want to. They want to end it. They want to burn it to the ground and build up their North Korea hellhole on top of it. All right, what's going on here? Pastor Martin Cedra bringing the fire, Christianity versus Islam. Well, let's take a look at this.
Muhammad, Jesus. Muhammad said, kill the infidel. Jesus said, love your enemies. Muhammad said, before he died, Muhammad said, may Allah curse the Jews and the Christians. Jesus, before he died, said, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they do. Muhammad owned slaves and them. Jesus honored women and covered them. Muhammad, the woman caught in adultery, stoned her to death. Jesus, the woman caught in adultery, said, neither do I condemn you, go and sin no more. Muhammad literally commands men that they can beat their wives up. Jesus commands men to love their wives. So when you compare the founders, I know you were like, interpretation and stuff, forget the Quran, forget the Bible. Let's compare the founders of the religion. Your Muhammad, in a span of 10 years, started 73 wars and raids. My Jesus, in a span of 33 years, his whole life, not one war was started. In fact, when his disciples wanted to destroy a city for rejecting him, Jesus rebuked them. When Peter picked up the sword, Jesus said, those who live by the sword would die by the sword. So let's compare founders for a moment. Your founder is not my founder. My founder is a God of love, peace, prosperity. We're not the same. The Muslims want Sharia law.
It's the Muslims wanting Sharia law to reign in the West.
Yeah.
And you can listen to, is it called imams?
Yeah.
You can listen to the leaders of brotherhoods saying that we will not stop until Islam is in every home and every child. I've heard imams say, we don't care about the parents, but we are coming for the children, and children will become Muslim.
We're immigrants.
You're a
like
refugee,
I'm a refugee. We came legally, obviously, but I love immigration in the right way. When I moved from Egypt to Australia, I was so grateful for my country.
Right.
I love my country. We have an Australian flag in our office.
Right.
Why? We're telling people the country that accepted me and took me in, I love it. I'm grateful for it. I'm blessing it, and I'm bringing my skill here. But what a lot of Muslims do when they move to America is they don't love the country. They hate the country. I was literally in an Uber on the way here, and the Uber was a Muslim man. His name is Muhammad, and he was complaining to me how bad it is to live in America. I'm like, where are you from? He's like, Pakistan. I'm like, why are you here? Like, why are you complaining about the country that you're in? Like,
what did he say?
It's the thing. I was like to him, why are you here? He was like, oh, I moved with my family for a better future. I'm like, so you're telling me you left Pakistan because you don't like the way you live there, and you don't like Islam there, and you're moving to America only to hate America? And this is the problem. I love immigration, but if you're going to migrate to a country, you better love your country. You better bless your country. You better wave the American flag here. Don't go around burning the flag. And that's the difference between an immigrant and an enemy.
All right. Yeah.
An immigrant seeks refuge. An enemy wants to destroy the country.
That's pretty powerful, isn't it? The difference between an immigrant and an enemy. Thing is, it's no secret. Like, they're literally like on the steps of the art gallery in Vancouver screaming "Death to Canada," like the Hamasniks, the Palestine people. Right? There's infinite clips of imams in mosques across the Western world, Canada, the United States, UK, everywhere, right? Literally infinite clips of them talking about how their adopted country is going to be Sharia law, how they're going to win, how they're going to outbreed the native population. It will all be Sharia law, and all the women will have to cover up, and they'll have to wear niqabs or whatever, at least cover their hair, right? Like, there's infinite clips. They're not hiding it. It's not hidden, right? I just wonder, how can... Well, for one thing, you would say, where's the feminist? Well, feminism doesn't really exist anymore. It's just been kind of absorbed into and co-opted into the progressive blob, which is really just about Marxism. Like, it's pretty hard to be, like, to be queers for Palestine, right? Means that there's not even, it means that the ideology is just, what does it mean? How to express it? Like, how do you get to queers for Palestine? Well, I guess just total ignorance is one. Utter ignorance is one. What it is a feeling. So the thing that underpins it all is Marxism, but each one of these causes gets forwarded just by a feeling of what you're allowed to do and what you're told to do. So does it feel progressive? Does this thing feel progressive? So whatever the new flag that's supposed to go in your bio is putting up that flag, does that feel progressive? So will the other people in your bubble accept that as progressive? Are they doing it? Have enough people signaled that that's progressive, that's left wing now? That's the only thing they care about. That's it. So that's how you get queers for Palestine. All right, let's move on. Actually, let's go back to the chat for a second. Let's see. Radio Streamer says, I have a hard time believing that. If you go back, every one of those tractors is brand new and has the build sticker on the window. That would have to be explained to me. I don't know. You're gonna have to go to Australia, Radio Streamer. Let's see. And let us know what happened. Let's see. In fact, let's go back. All right, let's go back. Let's do it. All right, hold on. Let's see. We're going to go back. We're going to go back and see. All right. We're doing it for Radio Streamer. Here we go. All right. So let's see. Don't see a tractor yet. Here we go. No, I think that's a sign. That's like got a message, right? Yeah, so they're putting like messages on. I don't know. They do look pretty brand spanking new, though, don't they? Maybe they just keep them clean. I don't know. So I don't know what it all means. I don't know. We're 3 hours in. I'm just leaving it alone. This is actually just nice. This is a real palate cleanser right here. Father pretended that his son helped him get the car out of the mud. This is beautiful. This is just wholesome and nice. Oh, can't do that. Stop putting that music on these things. Look at that. There he goes. There he goes. Oh, that's just great. Look at how excited the kid is when he runs over. Yeah, I did it. That's just as wholesome as it gets. That's nice. Yes. Good. More of that in the world. Let's see. All right. What are you guys saying? Let's see. Da-da-da. All right, let's just keep moving on. Let's see. Actually, hold on. What do we got here? Myth 77777. Good to see ya. All farm equipment is leased down here. New machinery every year. Well, there's an explanation for it. Okay, well, thank you very much. You cleared that up for us. Also, Myth says all of us are screwed here. We were sold out to the Chinese by Howard in the late 90s. Well, Canada too. All right, let's move on. I'm getting tired. Let's see. It says Lonnie B. In a stunning twist for climate science, Antarctica gained more than 100 billion tons of ice in just 1 year, a sharp contrast to its long-term trend of steady ice loss. For decades, Antarctica has stood as a symbol of climate change, with melting glaciers, collapsing ice shelves, and rising seas dominating the headlines. That's why the recent data, confirmed by both satellites and on-ground measurements, has government-funded scientists and experts stunned. Trust the government-funded science. Well, rising seas actually hasn't happened. Do you remember there were 20 years ago, we were told about these islands that are longer than that ago. Al Gore was telling us about these islands out in the Pacific or something that were being washed away and they're going to disappear. And reason you never heard about them disappearing is because they didn't. So it just wasn't true. They're still there. They're still the same. So Antarctica shocks scientists with 100 billion ton ice gain in 1 year, defying a long-term melting trend and sparking fresh climate questions. Like, is it not real? Like that. Do you know what? I was going to show this because it's cool, but I can't show this until we have a premium stream, which we'll be doing on Monday. Let's see. This one, no. And how about some Shane Gillis? Let's do that. That might be a good way to end off the stream, actually.
I love thinking about Trump in the Situation Room, watching a live military operation. He's the only dude in the room that wasn't military. He must have been the only dude watching it that was like, oh! Like, you could tell he's never seen it before by the fucking speech. The speech sounded like a guy just trying to tell you some shit he saw.
A lot of guys would knock on the front door, not these guys, not our guys. Not our guys. Our guys went through the wall. They blew up his wall. And they used dogs. Beautiful dogs.
Beautiful dogs is the funniest detail. It's true. They actually did use, it was the Army Rangers and they used dogs because they were afraid al-Baghdadi was going to be wearing a suicide vest. So they killed him with dogs and a robot. And then made fun of him for crying. It's like, dude, let that guy cry. That's the scariest death I've ever heard of. That dude was laying in his bed in the middle of the night, his wall exploded. fucking 10 dogs and a robot broke into Dude, 10 dogs wearing helmets and goggles broke into his house. The Paw Patrol, the actual Paw Patrol.
That would be a terrifying way to go. Dogs and robots. That's a good one. All right. What is going on here? Israel's National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir is pushing a hardline response to Greta Thunberg and her crew, detaining them under harsh terrorist-level conditions, stripped of amenities. Should Israel do this? Israel should put her in a giant cannon and shoot her into the sun. That's what I think. Weird children of the corn looking lady. And she's like in her 20s now too, but she's still got that children of the corn thing going on. Still. So I guess she tried to break into Gaza again on like some pleasure boat. And they busted her. They keep doing it. She keeps trying to break into Gaza, which I mean is a terrible idea for her because it's, you know, they're just saving her life. Not even from the IDF, from like the Gazans. Some Swedish girl shows up. You know, it's not going to show up. It's not going to go well. All right, that's it. Greta's a dummy. She's a dummy, and she eats bird seed, and she's married to a shrub. That's what I say. I'm sticking with it. All right. Let's finish up the chat here, and then we'll get over. We'll finish this up. I'm getting tired, people. I'm getting tired. Will they let me finally do an ad read? Will they? Nope. Nope, it's still glitchy. It's not letting me do it. Damn it. Oh, well. Let's see. Trudeau survivor says of that kid who helped his dad get out of the ditch. That kid grew up to be a tow truck driver, but all the tow trucking jobs were taken by immigrants. Well, that's Canada. So, yeah, unfortunately. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Well, I guess that's it. I think we've covered most of it. All right. Well, everybody who's not subscribed, subscribe to the channel right away. Do it immediately. Don't let the gatekeepers keep you in the dark, which is what they want to do. They don't want you to see my videos. It's the last thing they want. It's the last thing they want. They want to keep you in the dark. They want to keep you compliant. That's why I'm here. So I'm trying to summon up the energy for some kind of really energetic call to action here. I mean, I just don't have it. I just don't have the energy right now. What am I going to tell you? Subscribe to the channel, you'll get AIDS. I mean, I don't know. That could happen. I don't know what your life is like. Probably not, though. I mean, let's face it, probably not. But who knows, right? Subscribe, like the stream, or else, I don't know, you're going to get hit by an asteroid. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, something terrible could happen if you don't. I mean, I don't know that would be that, though, an asteroid or something. I don't know. I would just say that it's just a kindness, a deep kindness that causes people to subscribe to the channel and to become channel members, because that's really the best way to help out the channel. And also gifting a membership to other people, because it's really the best way to help out the channel. And also just generally giving me money is also the best way to help out the channel. And also liking the stream is the best way. And you get that awesome, amazing, beautiful, beautiful, nature's greatest miracle, good karma from liking the stream. And in these troubled times, are you telling me that you couldn't use some good karma? What kind of a fool would turn their back on that? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if you go around and like all the streams right now, you get karma from all of them. I mean, we're on Rumble, we're on YouTube, we're on X, we're on Locals right now. I mean, come on. Come on, people. Radio streamer says, I have to stay awake for another 45 minutes, but I have no energy. Man, I wish I could help you out. What is it, Tuesday? Is it Tuesday? I wish I could help you out with that. Jeez, I don't know. Have you tried having some coffee? Have you tried having a couple of espressos, a couple of double espressos? Really? No, nothing, huh? Have you tried smoking crack? Yeah, nothing. Have you tried meth? Was it the blue meth? It was. Nothing. Have you tried chewing on a bunch of polar bear adrenaline glands? You have, and nothing? Well, I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, those are the most powerful things. There's nothing more powerful than those kinds of things to kind of give you the energy that you need. I don't know what possibly.
Energy.
I always deliver. Radio Baloney always delivers. You need that energy. You need the energy. I'm right here with that they, them energy for you. Boom, boom. I'm not sure it's the best spokesperson for the they, them energy, though. I'm really not. They could get somebody better, I think. I mean, I like the teapot thing at the end. I do like that. That's a sweet move. But, and teapot. Rosie says, see, we get testimonials in here about the good karma. I liked the stream and my gardenia has bloomed over and over. There you go. There you go. Results. I deliver. I deliver results. Never did energy or chocolate, and it is Tuesday. So that means, okay, I got to deliver with the chocolate now. All right, here we go. I'm not in love with it, I got to say, but I'll do it. I'll do it because I agreed to do the chocolate after doing they, them energy every time. So let's just do it. Before I end the stream, Radio Baloney keeps its word. Let's see. But the only thing is about this is that on Radio Baloney Live, we don't say chocolate. We say chocolat. Chocolat. Everybody say it together now. Chocolat. Why are they like what? What's this? Oh, that's Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Let's see. There we chocolat. Chocolat. That's how we say it. And if you don't say it like that, you're not allowed on the stream. Sorry. Chocolat. Look at that. Twirl extra. This is like the British stuff, the good stuff. Twirl extra. Chocolat. Tiffin. Chocolat. Dairy milk caramel. Beautiful. The best chocolat. Everybody loves it. Well, I guess that's it, people. I want to thank everybody who tuned in. I want to thank everybody who subscribed to the channel and became a channel member and gave me money and also liked the stream. I want to thank everybody who tuned in. I want to thank the people in the chat. You guys are what makes it all worthwhile for me. If it wasn't for you guys, it'd be like I was ranting into a cold, dark, and different universe. That would be depressing, because you guys are here. It is not depressing. It's fun. So that's why I keep doing this. So I hope I see you guys on Friday, 7:30 Pacific time, 10:30 Eastern time, Friday night, Radio Baloney Live with your host, Richie Baloney. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you then.